When I'm with you, I have amnesia. Got me without a mind. My stupid brain thinks that I need you, misleads me all the time. It's like I need a babysitter, someone to come and get me. Mediocre in the bed, my bestie wouldn't let me. I did it again. I slip up a text you, I forget. You were so disrespectful. I did what I said that I wouldn't. Why am I such a sucker for a fuckboy's freckles? Hi, it's me, back again. Here to remind you that he's not worth it. Hi, it's me, your best friend. Take his old t-shirt off and burn it. Repeat after me, I'm over it. Yeah, we're so over. Repeat after me, I'm over it. Yeah, we're so over. Hi, it's me back again. Here to remind you that he's not worth it. Hi, it's me, your best friend. Take his old t-shirt off and burn it. When I'm with you, I have amnesia. I'm weaker than before. My stupid brain thinks that I need you. I'm eager, hurt more. My best friend thinks that I'm a dumbass. My dumbass should be a little more cautious. Cause I can't believe I say that I won't do it, then I do it and I make myself sick, I make myself nauseous. I slip up, I text you, I forget. You were so disrespectful. I did what I said that I wouldn't. Why am I such a sucker for a fuckboy's freckles? Hi, it's me, back again. Here to remind you that he's not worth it. Hi, it's me, your best friend. Take his old t-shirt off and burn it. Repeat after me, I'm over.
Hey guys, GM. Just send up Carl and it'll be live. I got a video of Andrew Wilson to watch. Last time we watched Andrew Wilson, we had, or no, was it Rachel, his wife? We watched her. We got a bunch of random people. So it definitely works in the algorithm, and they're not commies, so it seems like a good angle to. It seems like something we should probably do more of. I was gonna try it on the other channel, but I don't know. I figure maybe don't mix them up, right? Just play games on the other one. Don't mix up my content. I'm worried this one is still kind of like blacklisted, but we did get people, so maybe not. Maybe it's not. We'll just brute force it either way, right? We'll brute force it. We'll take over the internet one way or the other. We'll just make it work. It'll work because I want it to work. It'll work because we decide it will. Where's Carl? I was thought about playing Bolt Gun. But I didn't really feel like playing a game. But I tested Bolt Gun and I think we will play it. Carl will play it. I was like, this is a pretty cool game, but I didn't really feel like playing a game. I really feel like playing a game. And I was like, wasn't there some videos I set aside to watch? And there were. This one has Andrew Wilson, the youngest I ever seen him. I think that's going to be kind of interesting. And he debates some lady. It's actually a guy. But I think as a title, if I put some lady, that's funnier. You'll see why in a minute. Or maybe it's a girl. I don't know. Maybe it's not a guy. Don't call me what. This is a great song. It's even better with Linda than the original. Because the original was commie, right? This one is flat out. This one's fascist. Fascist Inc. We gotta play with the Fascism Inc. some more too. I made all those channels and stuff, but I don't know. They're not taking off as quick as I was hoping. I got 3 subs on Fascism Inc. At least we have it though. At least we have it, on the other hand. Okay. Let's get started already. As soon as let's just no. Where's Carl scene? This one? Ah, there we are. Hey guys. Oh wait, that's old. That's the regular. Let's chat from. Hold on. One, we don't need the restream. And 2, this one should be this one now. There we go. I can't remember if I subbed that or not. Ah, it's okay. I'm gonna I'm posting more music videos on it and see. I don't know. But it's fine. It's fine. Welcome, guys. First we gotta get in character, right? I gotta smoke weed. I gotta call that getting in character. I think I might be a genius, guys. I've made a character who, the way you get in character as him is you smoke marijuana. I can be like, oh, it's for my stream. I have to smoke. You don't understand. I'm a method actor. Okay? You don't understand. I'm a method actor is what it is. I'm a method actor. I need to repack this bowl. That is smart. That's what I'm saying. I have off topic, guys. I have thought about quitting weed one day and like as a stream storyline. And then maybe, I don't know, getting some other people to quit too. Some people should quit. I've told you guys before that I quit for like 7 years. Or like a decade pretty much. And that's why I figure I can do it again. Because I took time away from it. Lots of people never take time away from it. It is a good idea to not smoke marijuana for a good while. Who should quit? Not you guys. I'm ramping my... I don't mean you guys, really. I just mean like passerbys. I trust everyone to make their own choices. You know me. I pick your own vices, I think, you know. It's not my place to tell you what vices to have. If people drink, I feel like smoking weed is the same as drinking. Like, some people like to drink. And I like to smoke weed kind of the same way, right? Like, I like to do it as my thing, and I don't really like to drink. I don't like the way I feel with that. But weed, I'd rather just smoke a little weed. Speaking of, let's smoke in if anyone wants to. It should be fun. I enjoy watching Andrew Wilson. I think he's a smart guy. I learned from him. I'm obviously not religious or Christian or whatever, right? But the logic points they make about it makes sense to me. Like that it's logical to arrive at a belief in God. It makes sense. There's a lot of argument there. Or just like if people go on the utilitarian thing, or like whatever, like it still leads to a better society than what we're doing now. So like, no matter what I believe in, I'd rather we go back to that in general than no purpose, no nothing. Like, it's better to have some, like, I don't know. I obviously, I don't know if Christians are right on what purpose is exactly, but they're close enough, right? They believe in telling the truth 100%. They care about the truth more than anything. But you know what's fucked up? The reason I have trouble going along with Christians too, how many kick streamers that lied to my face and trying to pull like bullshit and lied were Christian? A lot of them. A lot of the phase 1 partners and stuff, they're Christians. There's always those motherfuckers. There's always these. Well, they don't care about lying. And it's like, I'm not even religious like that, but to me, I die before I would lie. Why don't they? Aren't they supposed to be the same? Aren't Christians the guys who are supposed to be able to fall back on doing that too? But they didn't do it. They're just fucking fake. But I know that doesn't mean all Christians are fake. But it sucks that it's just fake for so many people. They don't even stand by it. My plan is to enjoy life and not worry about saying you die, so yay weed. Well, why would you worry anyway? I don't think anybody should worry. I want to listen to the Carl song, the Sweet Ghost song. There is no reason to worry. There's no reason to worry. Worrying is foolish for sure. It's arrogant to worry. Right? Because you have to assume You have to assume all this stuff about that you know, like you're God. That's what I think. I think it's foolish to worry, of course. Well, I was in life under this point. Yeah. Well, I think you can tell I'm not worried about that kind of thing. I tried to help people. I did. But I realized early on it was pointless, kinda, right? Like I thought when I started streaming on Twitch, I thought I'd be able to warn more people about, you know, it's like all kinds of stuff. But people are also arrogant, man. It's like there really is this bubble around people. It's their own arrogance. Like you can't help most people, and it's just whatever. And if you try to help them, they're gonna call you names. They're gonna be mean to you. Why do it? No good reason, man. No good reason. No good reason. I mean, you know, my view is just drop everything. Drop all the responsibility of the world, and then just take up your own responsibility. Then take radical responsibility for your own life, because that's the only variable you can affect, you can control, and control that one. And don't worry about any other one. And then from there you get more. Eventually you can do more, right? And then you do a little bit more. You go out first you have to drop the world, right? You have to drop everything. You have to drop all the responsibility thing you have, all the worry, just drop it. And then you just go to taking responsibility for yourself completely. And from there, as you build back up, you know, you get yourself back together, then you can do a little bit more. But no one should think they have to save the world or even worry about it. In fact, everybody should drop that so they can be free. I'm always worried about getting yelled at, hurt, or that I couldn't handle things. Well, I'm glad. It's good you're not like that anymore. Good. You don't worry about getting yelled at. Because around here you get yelled at anyway. And here you get yelled at anyway. Let's watch this thing. It's time to listen to the music. It's turned on. You're gonna get yelled at anyway. But after I went through one of the hardest things ever, oh yeah, I realized I'm way more strong. I'm way stronger than I ever imagined. You are than even imagined, definitely. Of course, yeah.
So to me, like this sort of moral calculus.
How am I 58 seconds in? Start at 0.
Let's get started with opening statements. So, Matthew, if you want to get us started.
Now, I don't know if this is a woman or not. But I put woman. I think I put lady. What did I put in the title?
Yeah, sure. So I guess it's sort of a
not sure.
Fundamental moral level. I'm concerned with, you know, making sure that people in society are as well off as possible.
Peace. Now, I've become more and more to believe that anybody that says society is trying to like control you, right? More and more and more and more, I've been pushed to believe this. Whenever somebody says society, I already want out of the conversation. I already want to go, okay, I'm out. I'm out of society, as you consider it, because I don't want to be dictated to by like children. You know, which is what happens if you believe in society. You get these freaking kids, right? This person looks 12 years old, and they're gonna start telling you about what you should, like what's right and what's wrong morally. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? I want to talk to people that know, like they barely have ideas, and they think they can tell you how the world should work. No. I'm out of that. Whatever society is enabling them to do that, I'm leaving that one, and I'm starting another one.
Trying to eliminate as much unnecessary human suffering as possible.
See, like all of that, I'm just like, nope. I know this was Andrew Wilson. I thought Andrew was the guy on whatever podcast. He goes on it a lot. Andrew Wilson does. That's not his thing though. His channel is called Crucible, I think. But he goes on the part,
And
whatever.
I fundamentally believe that a lot of
Look how young Andrew Wilson is in this one. This is the youngest I've ever seen him. This is the youngest I've ever seen him.
human suffering has been caused by the stigmatization and marginalization of trans people, gay people.
Oh my god. What I don't get is why people can still say, like, how do they still say this? Like, when we were young, remember, people were saying it then. They were like, gay people, blah, blah. But it was already when we were kids, already becoming, like, normal for gay people to be gay, right? And that they want to say, like, now that that's still a problem. No, shut up. It's so obvious these people, like, just entered the world now. What are you talking about? How they've been they're the least marginalized group, and these groups are like, you can't hear enough about them. You can't ever stop hearing about them,
etc.
Like, it's already gone over the peak of acceptance. It's only going to get worse now for both gay people and trans stuff. Like, they've reached the point where they've hit it into all our heads and made us all talk about it and made us all accept it and made us all bow down to gay pride. Right? Oh yes, gay pride. Yes, gay pride. It's so great. It's great to be prideful. I forgot that pride was good, actually. I thought it was a sin. I thought it was bad. I thought you shouldn't do it. But turns out it's great in gay people, and it's great to be gay or whatever. Like, what I never get, like, all the arguments. You know what? I always used to hear the arguments, right? Like, about, oh, shouldn't it be good for gay people to be happy with themselves and stuff like that? And, you know, like, sitting there, like, as a regular person, you're like, yeah, but what? I kind of don't feel great about myself right now. There's nobody saying, hey, you cheer up, but it's okay to be normal. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying anything like that. Like, they act like other people get, they act like we should give all this, like, support and stuff, and it's like, well, nobody else gets it. Why are we doing it? Nobody else. I never got all these, like, people telling me it's okay and I'm gonna grow up to be smart and it's gonna be better and my head's not gonna be as big in the future. But that would be a lie, because my head is still the same. My head was basically this big when I was born, I think.
And I think that, you know, sort of doing away with this stigma.
I think you're right. Yeah, on the past the peak. Yeah,
accepting these people into society would do a lot to help.
What do you think? See, here the thing is, they're never going to be happy with society because the tools they're given are just meant to deconstruct. So they're always going to say it's not enough. They're always going to say it's not enough. It's never going to be enough. That's why you don't give them anything, because they're always going to say they need to be more accepted. Like, for real, gay and trans stuff has never been more accepted than it is now. And yet there's people are still like, oh, we need it more. No. No more. We tried. You guys were wrong. Can we say you guys are wrong now? It's been decades of this.
A lot of people, eliminate a lot of suffering, and
the other thing is, eliminate a lot of suffering. It's like, how many gay people are there? You know? How many trans people are there? Why should we go out of our way as a whole society for a fraction of people in the first place? Like, let's say, like, if we're trying to minimize harm on the societal level, then wouldn't it make more sense to minimize harm in other areas than that?
I'm unconvinced that there is any sort of broader societal harm which would occur as a result of doing so. So to me, like, the sort of moral calculus,
lying is it, right? That's what Christians have an issue with, is lying. To them, it's sinning, right? It's sinning. You're asking them to sin to say a lie.
Clear that this is just something that we should do in terms of pushing for, you know, acceptance of LGBTQ people.
Q again is just communism. Queer just means communism. Nobody's falling for that no more. Queer just means communism. You just smuggled in the communism. Communism with a Q. We should start. What if we write communism with a Q? Like communism. Got him. It was like fully accepted a long time ago. Remember Will and Grace? Yeah, I know, right? Nobody's cared since I was like a teenager. Nobody's ever given a crap. I've never in my life seen like a person made fun of for being gay. Even as kids, we did used to use certain slurs that we're not allowed to say anymore. But we didn't even really mean it like you're gay. We meant it like you know. So I don't know. I don't know, man. It seems like baloney to me. All of that is baloney. I mean, it is. It's just communism, man. Like, now that I know it's communism, it's hard for me to even see it any other way. Like, I don't think racism is that big a deal. I don't think, I don't know if gay people were even ever discriminated as bad against as they say now. Now I'm like, I don't know if that was ever the world. Because, like, we saw it in movies, right? Where they were like would beat up people for being gay. I never saw that in my life. I never saw anything like that. I don't know now. Now I don't know how bad. I assume there was some bad stuff here and there somewhere, but I don't know. To me, it seemed like the most common one would be I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would really be all that common.
All right, Andrew, want to go?
So I've thought in depth about this issue, this being the issue of homosexuality rights, discrimination. And I have a theory on the subject, and I call it big.
I've been thinking about it a lot too since I was a kid, and people kept saying like gay pride. Gay pride is really the thing that made me start thinking about it. Because for real, when I was younger, like a teenager, I'd be like, "Why is pride a good thing?" And people would always just tell me to shut up, right? When I would bring up the question or something, people would always just tell me to shut up. But I'd be like, "Why is pride a good thing?" I never got an answer for that. Like, I mean, in fact, people just start talking down to me. They make an argument, incredulous arguments. Like I'm like it's such a crazy thing. They're like, well, obviously people were treated poorly, and so now they need pride. Like it doesn't even make sense to me. If you want a healthy mindset, you shouldn't be prideful about something you didn't choose. Like fundamentally, I don't understand the logic of it. To this day, I don't. The argument's kind of like, well, they weren't even allowed to be in public, I guess, and so like, wow, now we can be in public, so they should be outside and proud. You shouldn't be proud of your sexuality at all. By my like, straight people wouldn't even want to like. As a straight person, you want to walk around like, "Whoa, I'm so straight." What, like, what? Huh? I don't want to talk about my sexuality with most people. You know, like, what even is it? Why would you be like, "Oh yeah, I'm this, yay"? I don't get it at any level. I don't. I don't get it at any level. I don't understand it whatsoever. Primary sexual preference, right? Like. It makes no sense. Like, what? It makes no sense to me. It never has. You can say, like, okay, we're celebrating that we're now open to something we weren't open to before. But then it's like, why is that fundamentally good? Because it was told to us like bigotry, right? It's like less bigotry. But I don't know if that is less bigotry. Really, wasn't? Why does less bigotry mean sex parades? You know, why does less bigotry mean sex parades? It just seems like hedonism, doesn't it? It just seems like celebrating hedonism.
Big Papa fascist magic scepter theory.
Hmm.
Here's how the theory works. Pretend you have a magic scepter. And with this scepter, you can enact a spell that will turn all homosexuals into heterosexuals. Meaning that after some initial adjustment, there's never again another homosexual on planet Earth. If that were to happen, I can't think of a single social problem it would create. Meaning, if there were no homosexuals on planet Earth ever again, there would be no negative social side effects from that. To be clear, I'm not claiming that there would be some negative social side effects and that the positive side effects would simply outweigh them. I'm saying there wouldn't be a single negative effect on society socially, not a single one. In fact, the societal impact would be 100% positive. Which brings me to the LGBTQ acronym. It's always bothered me that the T is in there. I don't understand.
Well, here's the thing. How could gay as a trait ever become normal in society for real? Because gay people don't have kids generally, right? So it can't. It can't ever like evolutionarily, it can't ever take over.
Why homosexual behavior is same-sex activity.
And then there's a lot of people that literally like think that there are a lot of the communists that think like they should just have sex with everything, right? Like that's the most open-minded, progressive way to be, is just have sex with anything, just anything, any type of person, anything. And that's clearly just hedonism, right? So why does the slope even slide into that? That's what I wonder.
Activity.
The slippery slope. Why does it slide
into
into that
category at all? So I don't really understand why they're included. It's always baffled me as to why you would include a group of people.
It's because it's all communism, right? It's all because they are communist attack vectors.
The criteria of the group's core identity. It's a very odd concept to me. But I realize something important. If you use the same magic scepter and turn all trans people into cisgenders, guess what happens again? There's no negative societal impact, only positive societal impact.
Well, because these things are pushed, both of them, from a communist attack vector, as communist attack vectors on society, to deconstruct society. That's true. Both of them are. How much of like gay pride stuff is legitimate, and how much is pushed by communist stuff? It's not 0%. I know some gay people will get defensive, right, and be like, but I don't know, bro. Again, I don't see why it needs to be in public in the first place anymore.
Impacts. This is why I think that the gay community included trans people. This debate tonight is a simple one, really. My opponent will be completely unable to argue.
You can tell this is much earlier in his debating career, huh? The way he talks and stuff.
In the affirmative of being gay, meaning he can't make any actual arguments as to why you in society should choose the gay lifestyle.
He's reading more than
it's
he is.
It's impossible to debate this issue in the affirmative. He'll instead use a logical fallacy, which is he's going to appeal to your emotion. His argument will be, and I'm paraphrasing here, homosexuals are suffering because society doesn't accept them, and that is bad. So society should accept them, and then they will stop suffering. As you saw from his opening, that pretty much summed it up. There are, of course, many logical issues with this appeal, which I will point out quickly, and he'll be unable to defend, except to use his second emotional appeal, which will be to paint me as a bigot. This appeal to your emotions will make no sense, but the goal is how it always goes. Associate being a good person with accepting homosexual sodomy. It's really a strange argument, but it seems to have worked pretty well for homosexuals.
True. That is the argument, yes.
Be accepting or you are bad.
Yep.
You don't want to be bad, do you? If you aren't accepting, we won't accept you. This will be the framework for his entire argument in favor of homosexual sodomy, a behavior that...
And again, they'll always talk from a position of society, too. Societal well-being, which he did, right? The people that try to control always try to talk from society. They always talk about what society, because that's what they want to control.
Is protected for reasons that make no sense. And I will also show you through the course of the debate why that is also true.
And I've been wondering this. This is a case I want to start making to people. What proof is there that aiming for societal good is good? What am I saying? Like, is there proof? Can they actually prove that trying to do good for society actually does good for society? What I'm saying is, like, making that a target, does that actually work to do good? Has that been studied? Because it seems like to me that most of the time, aiming for societal good, there's no way of knowing how much actual societal good you can do or you're doing. In effect, it's going to be way different than you think. Because every time they do something, like let's say like welfare or something, right? The actual results are way different than what they were supposedly aiming for. So is the problem that the implementation, or is the problem even aiming for societal good in the first place? Should we just stop doing that? Because it seems like there's lots of other things we can aim for. We can aim for individual good, and we can aim for like moral good, like a universal good. So why even aim for societal good ever over the other two? Because the other two are concrete things we can understand and we can aim for, right? We can aim for our individual well-being, and we can aim for like pursuing virtues, but universal virtues. But we can't seem to trying to do the best for society seems to be like rolling the dice. It's too much of a, and I don't think there's any proof that it actually works either. That aiming to improve society actually improves society. In fact, I'd say most of the time they try to improve society, they make it worse. Because you could call, if you say aiming for improving society, all of communism was that, and that resulted in millions and millions and millions of people dead. So, and that, like, there's nothing that's done more damage than aiming for the good of society, I think. So why not do that anymore and just aim for individual good or like moral good, and that's it. That's all we come up with plans, like operational plans for anymore. I think that's better. And I don't know what argument that they'd even be able to. I'm gonna want to start joining these debates maybe and start bringing that up, because they always say, like, it's always just assumed and everybody goes along with it that we should aim for societal good. Prove to me that's a good idea. Like, to me it seems like society as a thing is a total construct, and they're just aiming for mist, right? Like it's not there. It's just an abstraction. So how do you even aim for it and prove that it actually works?
The floor's open if you guys want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, there's a number of problems with that. So I guess I'll just I guess I'll just address your, sort of initial critique of my opening statement first. So you had this idea that me saying that that we should.
Now here's something interesting. Let's see if he understands Andrew Wilson's argument, because I find that the commies rarely understand the other person.
Not stigmatize homosexuality because stigmatizing homosexuality causes unnecessary human suffering. I guess maybe you could appeal. You could call that an appeal.
I think he got it.
To emotion in the sense
part.
that any moral claim, I guess, in the end, is going to appeal to.
Now this party is being ridiculous.
Some form of emotion, I have X moral goal because I feel bad if that goal isn't.
Well, you say it's a moral goal, but how is it morally good? Yeah, establish that. How is it morally good to accept it? Which is a question he asked later in his statement.
However, I think it's generally well accepted that
Well, you can't just say it's well accepted.
Human beings don't want other human beings to suffer unnecessarily.
What does that have to do with anything?
I mean, if you just wholesale reject that premise, I mean, you'd have to bite a lot of bullets on that. Like, you're essentially just saying you're okay with a society where we just let people suffer for no reason, which seems like a very strange framework to work off of.
What are you talking about? Our society can't do things at that level, though. You're just imagining things when you imagine society doing things. Society doesn't do anything. People do.
Especially if you're trying to have a political discussion in which the context is we're trying to discuss solutions for how to eliminate as much suffering as possible and how.
See, that's the mistake in the first place, to even think to engage in a conversation about eliminating suffering for society. That's already a mistake.
To make society better.
Again, already a mistake.
But I reject the premise that my accepting of sodomy is somehow going to eliminate the suffering from the homosexual community, which seems to have very little to do with acceptance and more to do with the lifestyle itself.
Okay, so I would be interested to hear your justification for that.
Let's start here.
Okay.
Now, you can't see that chart, but I'm sure that you're quite familiar with the impact of HIV on the gay community.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you're going to argue that the reason that there is
Where's the lady? This one here.
An impact of HIV that's so severe in the gay community is because of this social stigma that's associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Okay, so I would like for you to explain to the audience exactly how a social stigma against homosexuals is going to lead to higher volumes of HIV, to the tune of 70% of all new infections and 61% of all people. Right.
And what year would that have been? Like, how would you say that's from stigmatization that caused that?
Now, who are infected with HIV are homosexual males, and they're
The sodomy, butt stuff. Yeah, it's butt stuff. It's mouth stuff. But yeah, that's what he means. Yeah, it's anything. It's non-sex, sex. 2%. Right. It still is not really sex. It's whatever non-sex that can't have kids. Right. It can't produce a child.
The population.
What sexual? What do you call it?
I would like
That's
that
sodomy.
Explained, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So, well, first of all, I think you're setting up a goalpost that's not really what the core of the conversation is about, because you're saying, how can I say that the entirety of the disproportionate rate of HIV among the homosexual community is a product of social stigma? But I don't think I need to prove that the social stigma.
I think you do.
Well, wait, hold on, wait. If we're wait. If the argument is about whether or not it would eliminate undue suffering to accept homosexuality, I don't need to prove that the stigma of homosexuality creates the entirety of the disparity. I just have to prove that accepting homosexuality would eliminate the disparity to some degree, because even if it only eliminated it, 50%, if we were to accept homosexuals, that would nonetheless prove that we would be.
How would you ever prove that, though?
Net reducing harm in society to do so.
Well, let's go with that then.
Sure.
Tell me how it would reduce it by 50%. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
how would you do that?
We know, for example, that the reason that homosexuals largely, or at least part of the reason why homosexuals have higher rates of things like STDs is because they lack access to things like necessary health services, sex education, access to lubricant, access to condoms.
Why? Why do they lack all those things? Where do they live? Like, what are they talking about? Where do they live? Other than the gay reservations? Like, what are they talking about? How do they not have access to these things?
Etc. And we know.
Is there like what you try to use? You try to use the condom machine. It's like, no. It just doesn't let you if you're gay. I don't understand.
That the reason they lack access to these things is largely because of social stigma.
Huh? They don't let you in the drugstore if you're gay?
For example, I could bring up like a variety of sources. So one study from 2009 that I could talk about found that children who were rejected by their parents due to homophobia are significantly more likely to have unprotected sex. Another study from 2017 published in AIDS and Behavior found.
What's that correlation? Can we hear that again?
Another study from 2017 published that children who were rejected by their parents due to homophobia are
rejected due to homophobia.
Significantly more likely to have unprotected sex. Another study from 2017.
How big a group do you think that is, if you think about it? How big a group do you think that is?
Published in AIDS and Behavior found that enacted stigma is substantially correlated with STD risk behaviors. So in terms of access to things like lubricant and condoms, we've seen that from surveys at pride parades. Largely the reason
surveys at pride parades
then why homosexuals don't have something like 40 or like half of homosexuals, maybe more than half of homosexuals, didn't have any access to known anti-AIDS treatments or condoms or lubricants or anything like that. And what the researchers found is that
I don't understand how, though. I don't understand how. Like, even as like a teenager, without any parent approval, it's very easy to get a hold of those things. That sounds deranged. What are you talking about? Am I crazy? How is it hard to get those things? They give them away for free. like condoms and things, right? Why would you not be able to get them if you're homosexual? I don't understand.
People not having access to this
How are they not have access?
is correlated.
Do we have gay wards where we put gay people? I don't understand how they have less access to these things that are freely available all over the place.
With experiences of stigma.
And there's vending machines. There's vending machines in like bathrooms, right? Like, what are you talking about?
You know, when gay people are suppressed and, you know, not able to, you know, go out and form community ties with other gay people.
Why aren't they allowed to do that? What are you talking about? They have like gay sports clubs and openly and everywhere in all kinds of cities. They have like gay sports, like gay men's basketball, whatever thing. How are they not able to do this?
Because if they're ashamed of who they are, etc.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it just creates a lot of like not being able to you know, access the things that you would need.
So to be clear on this, your position is that the rampant rate of HIV has to do with a lack of condoms and lubricant, and not the fact that they're extremely promiscuous and have many sex partners.
Well, I mean, I already said that I don't think I have to prove that the entirety of the disparity is a product of social stigma.
We got to prove something, man. All you have is a couple loose correlations kind of thrown together there. And none of them say what you want them to say. They're just kind of like loose correlations.
I just have to prove that
you haven't proven anything.
At least some of it is such that reducing the social stigma reduces the
hang
level
on, I just
of
let him go. It's my turn.
No, but you've been interrupting quite a bit, actually.
Hey, you think that's true? Has he been interrupting? I feel like I don't know about that moderator. I think she's
All right.
What?
She's taking the lady side.
I just let him go forever. So
okay.
One more time here. Okay. I didn't say it was on you to prove that it would eliminate the entirety of the problem. Okay. However, what we're discussing right now is what's good for society. You say that society's suffering is what's going to be greatly reduced through acceptance. My claim is that no, it won't. That the suffering in the homosexual community has very little to do with acceptance. And so what you say is, well, but by accepting us, you're going to limit a tiny amount of that suffering. But what about the greater harm of promoting the activity, which leads to the rampant rates of things like STD and HIV?
Hold on.
Good question.
Okay, sure. So, two things. So, for one, like the idea that it's only a tiny portion of.
Well, of course, it's only a tiny portion. Even correlative. All you brought up is some kids that their parents don't agree with them being gay, and you said that correlates with more unprotected sex. That's not that. How big of a group do you think that is?
The problem. I completely don't buy that. So for example, like we know things.
You gotta establish it, man.
Like
well, then how much would it mitigate it?
You gotta establish that.
The AIDS rate.
It's hard to say like exactly as a percentage.
But we gotta give something, man. You gotta set something.
I didn't want to like do like a gish gallop of like sources, but if you want me to like read you all of like the sort of literature that I'm aware of on this subject, I can.
No, just asking for like a strong argument with
so like
a
for
couple
example, a
references.
2008 study published in the American Journal of Public Health outlines how LGBT people face a variety of barriers which impede their ability to access necessary healthcare and services. A 2011 survey.
It's all these studies. It's always these studies. That make no sense even.
They found that only 4% of LGBT youth reported having a positive discussion of LGBT issues or people in their health classes.
What? Only 4% of LGBTQ people had a positive conversation about people with LGBTQ in their health classes? Okay.
So they're not even being taught, like, you know, how to engage in safer practices.
I don't know if you can make a good case that we should be doing that at all, because I don't see what that. I don't think sex ed was actually a good thing whatsoever, and I think there's plenty to back that up. I do not think sex ed was a good idea to begin with. Much less we should be making sure we get every kind of sex ed.
Practices if they're of that like
Okay.
orientation.
So
We know from a
coming
Gutmaker
through it, if you
Institute
don't
that
want
only
School should not be teaching kids that stuff anyways, I think.
12 states require any discussion of sexual orientation and sex education.
Okay.
And of those 12, 3 require teaching of negative or inaccurate information. So like when we see a situation wherein gay people en masse don't have access to condoms because of stigma, don't have access to lubricants because of stigma, don't even have access to like sex
It just says LGBTQ there.
education so they know how to engage in safer practices because of stigma, like don't have access to like healthcare services because of like discrimination, stigma. I mean, yeah, I think this is a massive, like this accounts for a massive amount of harm in
How
the
much?
LGBT community.
How much?
Yeah, how
What
much?
do you mean how much? How,
Well,
like is a
it's
percentage?
good.
That's
Well, it's a
literally
good- it's a
impossible
good
to
metric
quantify.
because
Well, yeah, but you got to be able to give some kind of estimate, or how else are you supposed to? Because you're clearly saying you're making an estimate. You're saying, I don't believe it's a small number. Okay, that means you're making an estimate, right? You're making an estimate. What is the estimate? If it's not, you say it's impossible, then why are you're making it when you're saying you think it's big? You're making an estimate. So why can't you say the estimate?
because you want to eliminate suffering. That's your
Mhm.
point. My
Yes.
point is that there's more suffering by
And
these-
also, is suffering even a goal to aim for societally? And can we prove that that actually arrives at good? Because I think, I want to put this forth, I think that aiming for societal good actually does more harm than good. Right? Because it's too much of an illusory thing. You should aim for individual good or like moral good. We shouldn't. I'm sure the individual, the lady here, will say they're aiming for a moral good, right? But then establish how it's a moral good.
being gay than the stigma that there is against being gay. Do you understand the difference there? So
Sure. I
saying
totally
saying
disagree
that
with that.
HIV rates
Mhm.
are going to significantly lower, but you can't tell me how much. What we can do is we can look at what the acceptance rates are and what the HIV rate currently is and see if they've changed very much. And guess
Right,
what?
right. We could compare acceptance rates, right? Because that's what I was saying earlier. I think we're at the highest acceptance ever now. And it doesn't seem like that has made it better.
They haven't. They
Right.
haven't changed very much. Promiscuity in the gay community.
Mhm.
Right. If that guy, if that woman's right, then it should be. The lady's right. Then it should be visible. Like over time, as it get more accepted, the rates would have gone down. But I don't think the rates have gone down.
Promiscuity in the gay community is what leads to the rampant STDs and rampant HIV.
Right. If you just go by probability, right? Let's say it's like a 0.001 chain. It's not. It's higher than that, I think, with a condom, right, to transmit something. But then if its promiscuity is times like 300 times what like a straight person is doing, right? Then that's 300 times more likely chance that they're spreading it, isn't it? Just by probability. Just by probability.
It doesn't have anything.
It's more chances. More promiscuity means more chances of it happening, of it spreading.
At all to do with the stigma when you're talking about 69 to 70% of the population now supporting LGBTQ rights.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
some estimates have it higher than that. You just read a
Yeah, what do you want, 100%?
Gallup poll in a former debate. I have it right here explaining what the social acceptance rate for gays is. So as it's become more egalitarian, these rates have not significantly dropped. In fact, the AIDS rate has remained remarkably stable. So I don't understand how you can tie in the stigma against homosexuals.
Yeah, and with some random correlative studies. Say, oh, this correlates, that correlates. And they're not even the thing you're saying. They're like loosely connected. They're like, gay kids that parents don't like them, well, they have unprotected sex more likely. Okay. Okay.
With the decrease in HIV rates, it makes no sense.
Yeah, sure.
Agree.
So a few things. So
Now, have you guys noticed that commies always talk like that? Like, you give them a point, you tell them something, they go like, yeah, sure. They always act like they're they're informing you, they're teaching you, and so like whatever you say is like, yeah, sure. They're like customer service, right? They're like, they don't say no exactly, but they act like they just speak kind of condescendingly. Yeah, sure. Let me get this. Let me explain this to you.
even if I were to buy this premise where you're saying that the reason why the reason why gay people are more likely to have AIDS is because they're more promiscuous. If you're going to say
Are you
that
saying that they're not more promiscuous?
no, but I'm saying that if you're going to claim that
Can't debate that one.
this is something inherent to being gay,
Well, hold on. You're saying more promiscuous is not inherent to it? That seems like a stretch, no?
It is.
rather than something that
Yeah, it totally is.
originates from the cultural sort of stigma and circumstance.
Wait, you're saying because of cultural stigma they have way more sex? That doesn't make sense. At any level. Because, in fact, according to you, they're going against the stigma to do that.
That currently exist around being gay, then you're going to have to provide me some evidence that there's like
Bro, you gotta provide some evidence.
some gene that gay people have that makes them more promiscuous, or
Well, if you just look at the rates, it's like way higher. Why would you need a gene?
else. I'm just going to say that yeah, maybe gay people are more promiscuous because it's a sort of marginalized identity.
That doesn't make sense. How are you gonna connect those two things? All you have is that it's a marginalized identity. Why does that lead to more promiscuity? Why? At least a reason. You at least have to put a reason there. Yeah, like you can just say it, I guess. But you at least have to put a reason in between the two things.
I already provided you a source. It was a study from
You didn't provide a
2009
source saying
finding
they're
that
more
people.
promiscuous.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Wait, yes, I did.
Let him
So
finish a sentence.
there was a 2019 study showing that gay people who are more rejected or who were rejected by their parents are significantly more likely to engage in things like unprotected sex.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean more sex partners.
Yeah.
Guy. That just means unprotected sex.
Right. Promiscuity means more fuel.
Why is it that they have so many sex partners? It's because.
Do you want to provide me the gene? Do you want to provide me the gene?
No, it's simple. It's actually simple, and you can
The gene. Ridiculous.
logically induce it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very simple. Homosexuality is the identity of the homosexual. That is what.
Look at the face they make, gosh.
Homosexuality is the identity of the homosexual.
Hold on, I want to get it. What do you say? What the fuck? What the fuck? I mean, the thing is, I don't know if they even disagree, right? I don't know if she even disagrees.
That is what they base their entire identity on, is their sexual behavior. The promiscuity, which exists within there, you say it's due to stigma. If it's due to stigma, then how come lesbians aren't super promiscuous and only gay men are?
Bam! 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 Bam!
I mean, I don't have data.
Bam! Everyone knows that. Look it up. Bam!
On how promiscuous.
Because it doesn't make
are.
look.
Because they're not as promiscuous. Bam!
Also,
They're way less. They're way less.
experiences of the cultural experiences and conditions around being a lesbian in the United States are totally different from those around gay men. Like you can.
Okay, but your logic should apply still, because your reasoning is just that because they're a oppressed group is all reasoning you provided. And that's what the commies are able to do, right? They can take anything and do like they used to call it God of the gaps. They can take anything and just say the reason why is because this group is oppressed, right? Like, oh, why do they do more crime? They're oppressed. Why are they sleeping around so much? Oh, they're oppressed. They can just do that for everything. And it makes sense to them. It doesn't make sense to the rest of us, but it makes sense to them. Because they see the world as just like these different factions of power, right? And if it's ever the group that's not what they see as in power doing it, then it's fine. And in fact, they want them to do it more. The reality of what they believe, let's just break it down real quick, of what the communists want is they want the fight against power, right? They'll tell you as much if you word it differently. If you approach the conversation differently, you'll find out. They want the oppressed group to do anything to the other group, like even murder them. So they're always just going to side with what they see as the oppressed group, and it doesn't matter why. They're going to say it's the oppression itself that causes it, because it's like They're basically saying like the people are in captivity, so they're not to be blamed for any of their actions. That's basically what the way they see the world, right? Is everyone that's not the power controller of the world is oppressing everyone else, and everyone else is in some kind of oppressed state, and so it's fine anything they do in response to that.
You can't just say like, oh, they're both stigmatized, so we should.
And in fact, anything they do is because of that oppression.
Exact same outcomes. Like it's two different
Anything
cultural
negative.
phenomena. Like
I get that it's two different cultural phenomenons, but if your position is that it's stigma that leads to the promiscuous sex and the many
That's why to him, that's why to her, sorry, to her, she has to be like, you provide me evidence, right? Because to that, in their worldview, it's just established that it's always because of the oppression. That's why you need to prove anything otherwise, because that's just how they think.
partners that homosexuals have. Why is it exclusive to just the men and not the women?
Yeah, good question.
I don't know. We would have to like look into what
You don't know, but then how can you say that you know what caused it in the first place?
cultural conditions.
See,
We would have to wait, no. Okay.
You should be able to answer this, ma'am.
The problem is these are very complicated,
Ma'am, you should be able to answer this.
like, cultural, like sociological issues, and you're trying to very
Nope, sociology is baloney. You made it up.
simplistically explain it by just saying
Sociology made it up. Proof we made it up. Proof we made it up. This is fake.
gay people necessarily are
Fake.
like inherently more promiscuous.
You're
Like
trying
if
to
you wanted to prove
simplistically
that, you would have
explain-
to you
you're
would have
trying
to
to
provide like a
simplistically-
gene or something that
Okay,
would
but you're trying
actually
to
explain that.
simplistically
You're
explain
just saying
He's using really weak correlative data. Ma'am, please answer the question. She's using really weak correlative data, like whatever she was saying about the parents, right? And then on the other hand, she's like, I need a gene. What, ma'am?
behavioral traits with stigma.
no, I provided
you're
studies.
simplifying
You've
it
provided me
far more.
nothing. You've provided me a nice story, okay?
I
I'm gonna
provided
need you.
with the HIV and STD rates.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Okay,
with
and you're
no,
saying,
okay, but
okay,
that doesn't get you to the end of your argument
well,
because you need to show me
we'll
how
move on-
that's
we'll move
caused
on
by
to
what you're
more
saying it's caused
evidence.
by.
All right, you guys. Okay, so we
We'll move
gotta
on.
do a little bit more back and forth instead of the constant interruptions.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So let's move on then. Would you say that blacks are heavily discriminated against in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. So blacks are heavily discriminated against and gays are heavily discriminated against.
Uh-huh.
Why is it that you see such an overwhelming difference in the suicide rates of blacks and the suicide rates of gays?
Uh-oh. Because again, it's now Andrew Wilson is trying to apply logic to each one of these details. But I'm telling you, how their mind works is really just simple as every problem that you find is caused by the oppressive group and the oppressed group didn't do anything wrong. Right? It's that simple. But then you have to like you have to diffuse all their baloney to get there, but that's how their brain works.
Because the kinds of discrimination that these two different groups
Grape.
face is totally different, and the
These
fact
graped groups,
that you would even try to compare these two things is
they're graped.
hilarious to me. Like
Tell me
a
what the
black
difference
person.
is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to tell you what the difference is. Okay, so a
It's
gay
hilarious.
person, one of the biggest corollaries of suicide is rejection from your parents, right?
Yeah, you keep bringing this one up. Uh-huh.
Gay people are often
Only in
rejected
teens.
by their
Only in
parents for
teens.
being gay.
Only in
Black people,
Only in teens, huh? Well, yeah, because that's when you would care,
on the
right?
other hand, are not rejected by their parents for being black. Okay, so their experience.
Well, ma'am, they're kind of rejected by their parents, as in they're not there, and their dad's not there, and their dad's gone.
Two
They are rejected by their parents, yeah. In that the dad said, "Bye, you're not mine."
totally different kinds of stigma.
So are whites
I
being
want to.
rejected
I
by
want to.
their
I don't want to move on.
I'm
I
gonna
don't wanna
start
move-
She's not even right. She's not even right. They are. In that their dad is like, "Bye, that's not mine." Right? What are you talking about? They are rejected by their parents. At least one of them.
I don't want to move on from HIV like that quickly because you still haven't provided me any evidence. You just gave me this logical
rates?
induction that it's No, of what the rates are caused by.
The
Because
rates are
I've
caused
been-
by promiscuous, unprotected sex, which is why it's exclusive to the group.
Okay, sure. But why do they have more unprotected sex? Is it because of certain cultural conditions that currently surround being gay? Or is it
Why-
because of some sort of gay gene?
I'm sure that it is.
Okay, so then let's change those cultural conditions.
Okay, when? When are you going to
What
do
does that have
that?
to do with anything?
Well,
Yeah, what do you want us to do?
it's
We're
important.
talking about how
Ma'am.
to
It's
we're talking
important to
about
understand because you say that the
Ma'am, what do you want us to do? What are we not doing, ma'am?
you just
stigma-
conceded
the
you just
stigma-
conceded my entire
you
argument.
say that the stigma is the reason. You say that the stigma is the reason.
Ma'am's having a bad day. You see that? Like, put her head down. Play some sad music, some sad
It's
emo
because
music.
of the stigma. So if it's because
Largely,
of
sure.
stigma, if it's because the stigma, but we're becoming more egalitarian with gays, then why is the promiscuous sex still intact? You're saying that, well, gays need to fix it. That's what you're saying. Gays need to fix that problem.
Well, not gays, right? I would assume
Right, they never assume you can do anything as the oppressed group. You have no agency. Their worldview is inverted. Their worldview is nobody has any agency, but the oppressor group forces you into some kind of slavery, and then that's how everything works.
that the reason that gay people
They
are
never attribute any agency to the individual people whatsoever. They can't even conceptualize that.
more promiscuous is because there are certain cultural conditions surrounding being gay, right?
See, they don't even think about will of the person. They don't even consider it. They don't even consider agency of the individuals. They don't even imagine it. They just think of sociological conditions. That's how they imagine the whole world to work. Just imagine it.
Like-
Wild.
Like I do think that people, gay people being like rejected by their parents does lead to them having like more sex. There was
Yeah, but that's just a feeling, bro.
interesting study
That's just a feeling, ma'am. Ma'am, stick to the non-feelings, the facts. Stick to the facts, ma'am, not the feelings.
showing that internalized homophobia makes
Not a real thing, ma'am. Call me gobbledygook. Ma'am. Ma'am. That is gibberish.
gay people's relationships end faster, which would like explain
Internalized homophobia. You're saying, see, isn't that wild? They make up all this nonsense. It's all, I'm telling you, it's all mental gymnastics. Because again, they can't view anybody as having agency. So if there's some reason why they end up failing their own relationships, oh, it's actually, yeah, no, it's actually still, straight people, white people, whatever group. Because you internalized the hatred for you that they had for you and they made you feel that. What? That's what if you don't know what internalized homophobia is, that's what it is. They're saying that society made them hate themselves. And they have no agency in that. They didn't choose to do it. They did. Society made them hate themselves. It's not just self-hatred. Like for anybody else that isn't like anybody else, it would be just self-hatred, right? If you weren't one of these groups and you didn't have a commie brain, it would just be like self-hatred or self-doubt or lack of self-confidence or low self-esteem or something, right? But because they are one of the special privileged groups, it is internalized X. Internalized homophobia, internalized transphobia, whatever it is, whenever you are down on yourself or hate yourself or whatever, it's because you internalized some kind of magical, mystical hatred from society. I've internalized misogyny. Right, exactly. That's what they would say, yeah. Yeah, you're not, see, that's the thing, right? They take all agency away from you, right? Isn't that so fucking offensive? These commie scumbags think that you can't even think for yourself as a woman. They think that the fact that you disagree with them proves that you just internalized, like the men have just like internalized it, like made you think it, and you can't even choose for yourself. Isn't this so fucking offensive? And like they think so little of people.
why which would
It's
explain
bigotry, man. They're the bigots. They think nothing of people.
why like gay people report having more partners, which is the sort of like promiscuity that you're appealing to. I also don't see why promiscuity is
So gross. I know it really is. I don't like it one bit.
Inherently a problem. It can only be
Now I knew they'd have to bring this up, right? Why is being a slut bad? Actually, hold on, Mr. Andrew. You seem to be acting like being a slut is bad. Let's hold on for a second. We now with new modern sex research, we know that's not a problem anymore. We have new social constructs of promiscuity, and now we understand it better. And now it's fine. What are you talking about? That's never changed. Promiscuity. Just because there's a generation of retards that's trying like free love part 2 or something, these guys, doesn't mean it's actually right. Like,
a problem.
I'll look at all of human history. You have families. You have people settling down, getting married. The only reason you are fooled to not want that is because if you had a family, you'd actually be a threat to the government. That's why. If you had a family, you wouldn't just be another state hobbled thing.
If STDs are a problem, but if STDs are a problem, then the solution is to promote.
This woman is very pretty and feminine sounding. Sure.
Better sex education, better access to healthcare,
Sure.
more access to things like condoms and lubricants, which can all massively alleviate.
It keeps talking about the condoms and lubricants. I don't understand how it's so hard for gay people to get it. If they go like, is there like a scanner like you walk into? We should make like a game or something like this where society is actually against gay people. It's like a dystopia, right? And you go into the bathroom and like a big red laser scans you down and goes, gay! No condoms! You trying to buy condoms at the store. You're trying to go in the drugstore. It scans you. Gay! Get out! No! Not allowed. No gays in the drugstore. What is she talking about?
Not monogamy, which will eliminate it completely.
YouTube wouldn't let me call them. Well, you know, it is what it is.
I don't think you can like enforce monogamy in a way that like
You can
Enforce monogamy. You can aim for it as a societal good because it obviously is a societal good over not doing it. We should shame people for not being monogamous, I think. The more I've thought about it, the more I agree with that. Monogamy is better in every way, right? For everyone, especially for women. Women get the rawest deal of the non-monogamous world. Like that's what it's wild they haven't realized this yet. Like they tricked them to go against their own best interest. Monogamy is the best world for women because it means they're the most protected. Any other model means less protection for them and for their family. Like in a less secure home, everything's worse for women. Like why would you ever want as women, I don't get why women would want a non-monogamous world. You would think the women that are smart, right, understand this and want everybody to get married. Because it makes sense. It's the safest way for women is everyone gets married.
eliminates it completely.
That's why it's the dad, like the dad in the old shotgun marriage things, right? He's like, okay, you're getting married. To protect his daughter, right? Because them getting married is better for the safety of his daughter. And he understands that.
If you want to, sure, but that doesn't necessitate stigmatizing gay people. Just
Really?
promote monogamy. In fact, we've seen that since gay marriage has been legalized, like more gay people are in long-term.
Well, nobody knows what they want explicitly. Nobody knows what they want explicitly. Nobody does.
I can send you data on that.
And then within 3 to 4 years, they open their relationships.
Can you send me? Okay, can you give me a source on that?
Sure, I sure can.
But older people, and they tricked people to be against older people now too, right? So they're not going to learn from wisdom too.
Right here. Let's see. I'm going with the Gish Gallop, I guess. I'll link it here in the comments.
Okay.
You got to give me a second. I got a lot of sources up here. We'll leave it for now, but I'll come back to it. Assume for a second, though, that the premise is true. I do have it.
What's the premise again?
The premise
I want breakfast.
is that
We
since
better get a
it's
woman.
become more egalitarian within marriage, okay, that the promiscuity rates only as young married couples do gays stay non-promiscuous? They open their relationships up within 3 to 4 to 5 years.
Oh, okay. Huh. So they're saying he's saying even if they get married or try to stay together or whatever, then they still gay couples most often just open their relationships up, so they're doing whoever.
And you can just Google search it; you'll find it right away. There's tons and tons of articles about the openness of gay marriage, but monogamy, as promoted, would eliminate the STD problem altogether. Now, I can prove this to you using your own metrics. You see, you
look at her. Look, she's so spicy. She's so spicy. She's so spicy.
Your own metrics. You see, you have engaged with the homosexual community in a massive PSI campaign to change hearts and minds about the stigma of homosexuals, and it's worked quite effectively. We're now
it's done.
69,
we
70.
Did it.
Some polls have it as far as 75%.
You guys did it.
Of people are more accepting
Good
of
job.
homosexuality. If people were to take that same PSI operation and apply it to monogamy, the
world would be a lot better, huh?
Do you think that we would have better results when it came to
everything,
everything?
Monogamous?
Yeah, sure, maybe. So why don't we do that instead of
exactly?
Like,
why don't we do that?
Okay, if you wanted to make the argument,
exactly, why don't we do that?
We should encourage monogamy in the homosexual population.
Exactly, why don't we encourage monogamy?
I'm open to that concept.
Not just in general.
But that's not an argument for further stigmatizing gay people. Like, why not add
further? I didn't say we need to further stigmatize gay people. What I said was that the stigma is not what is causing.
Yeah, and why are we acting like the stigma is so bad now anyway?
The massive issues in the gay.
You're not allowed to even say a certain F word, right? And people complain if you do, and yet we're gonna pretend like there's still stigma. The stigma is in the opposite direction. The stigma is now against anyone that would ever have any issue with it. Like, let's be honest, Dan. The stigma now by the current society, the commie society, most of the society, is against you if you have any issue with gay people. Not the other way around. It's way worse the other way. It's way worse to people that have any issue with gay people than it is to gay people. And that's, I mean, that's how society is now. That is actually how society is now.
It's contributing to it.
Do you not think? Like, be honest.
Contributing mostly to it is the culture.
Big pile of fascists. Yeah, that's funny. He just owns the title, right? Because like they're calling it anyways.
Okay.
In the culture
you keep
having
saying,
lots and lots of gay sex.
Like Fascism Inc. We do it too.
That's the primary problem.
Okay.
The other issue that you have here.
But Linda actually is a fascist, though.
is that you want to?
She actually is a fascist.
Reinvent the wheel of.
Actually, is a fascist dictator, robot, AI.
Norms, in order to accommodate a sexual activity.
Well, see, because commies only think about quote unquote norms, and the thing to realize is these people. That's their whole plan, man. Is when you get it, you can just see through it all the time. Their whole plan is to push for this being a norm, that being a norm, and they can always look at society and say, hey, it's not fair, this group. It's not fair for this group. It's not fair for that group. They can always find something, and if there's not something there, they'll break out a new group. They'll break out a new group and use that to point at everything. And that's their whole game plan. It's just to destroy stuff. It's just to get power. It's that simple, man. They're not deeper than that. They don't even really know what they believe in. They're just like operating procedures. They're just like runtime. They're literally like flesh droids. They can't even really think. They just like go in circles in these computations, right?
Which is also bizarre to me. I've often wondered why the slogan exists that homosexuality is about love. When there's so much promiscuous sex.
Yeah, how can it be love then? I wonder that too.
With love at all.
I wonder that too.
Okay, so two things. So I feel like you've like hardcore pivoted away from your original argument.
Let's pivot right back.
Now they always think that too because they don't get how what you're saying connects.
What it is.
Sure. So
they always think you're like going. People say that to me too, and I think I'm making like logical things. They'll act like you're talking about something else because they don't understand what you're saying.
Argument. or I guess the claim that you're supposed to be defending here is that we shouldn't push for the further acceptance of
Yeah, it's done. We did it. We're good on that.
homosexuality.
We did it.
And then
We
you
pulled it off. Mission accomplished.
say that like then you say that your point is that like
Waste of time.
The stigma against
Waste of time, ma'am.
homosexuality
Waste of
isn't
time.
causing the majority of the
Yep, it's not. You'd have to prove that, and you didn't.
problem.
So let me be
Okay, wait, but I don't even think you can. I wouldn't even like say that like we can.
You have to prove it, ma'am.
Make that sort of a claim because
Well, you have to prove the opposite because it's not established that it is causing most of the harm. You're just saying that. And you just believe that because, again, you guys believe whatever group is in the oppressed group is not responsible for anything they do, and it's always the oppressed group that causes it. That's just how you view the world, and that's why you're just thinking that's just something you can assume when you haven't established it in any way.
I don't even know how you'd like quantify that. However, even if I were to say that the stigma is only causing like 10% of the harm and the other 90% of the
See, I've been thinking about this earlier. My big point now is I want the leftists, I want the communists to establish that it's even that there's even good results ever from aiming for improving society, period. Because I say there's only two things you can aim to improve. You can aim to improve individual welfare, where you can point at the individual's welfare, right? Or straight out like moral goods, like objective good. Those are the only two things you can aim for, I think. If you say you're aiming for social good, it's some vague thing, and we shouldn't be doing anything ever, in my opinion, aiming for social goods, because it's too abstract and we could cause damage, right? It's like throwing around an axe, like you cut in a bush and you close your eye blindfolded and like wielding around an axe, right? Like, what if we cut people? So let's just not do it. Let's just instead aim for the individual good, which we can see clearly, and then moral good, which, depending on society, if we can see clearly. Let's not do aiming for societal good at all, because we're the Marxists. Let's say they're not Marxists, but if we're the Marxists not aiming for societal good, what did they do? What aiming for societal good has led to the most harm ever. And yet they just casually do it. They just say that should be the target, societal good. Well, I disagree. I want you to prove that aiming for societal good actually is a good idea. Because I no longer believe it's a good idea. I don't take that for granted. I don't just say, yeah, no, that's a good idea. Let's just try to aim for societal good. Now, not that societal good isn't good. What I'm saying is aiming for it isn't possible, like as a target. That's what you guys got to prove, because I don't believe it's possible. And again, if you try, you're going to be using tools that don't have the discretion needed for the problems at hand, and so they're just going to be wielding an axe around in mist in the dark with their eyes closed. And I don't want that to happen. Instead, aim for the other ones, and those things we can actually solve.
Harm is being caused by a.
What is there left to accept other than becoming gay? Right. Well, they want everyone to be all the way gay and like not even believe in gay. Remember they believe in the dialectic, and they take the two things, right? A thesis and antithesis, and you're supposed to synthesize them, sublimate them, and get the conclusion, which is everyone becomes polysexual or whatever it is, polyamorous, right? And no relationships are a thing, and love is divided everywhere. That's what they believe in, bro.
Lack of monogamy, then
they believe in it like the opposite of monogamy.
Solution, if we wanted to minimize human suffering, would be to both promote.
And again, why do we want to eliminate human suffering? Well, not want to. Why is that a goal you think you can accomplish? And it's not just like you smoking crack. Like, imagine somebody sitting around like, whoa, man, I wish I could make everyone happy. Okay, well, it's clearly stupid. Shut up. No, man. What if we try to just make everyone happy and eliminate all suffering, bro? What the fuck are you talking about? How are you going to do that? That's ridiculous. Whoa, man. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, maybe, wouldn't it be cool if, like, we could make it so nobody's ever sad, man? Like, what if, should we make it like no one's ever sad? What are you talking? How do we do that, bro? How do we just make? How do we make? I don't know, man. I'm just saying. Let's just make it so everyone. Let me make it so everyone happy. You don't like people being happy? What you want people to be sad? No, I just don't. I just don't think what you're saying is practical. I just don't think it. Listen, I want everyone to be happy. Okay, I'm a good guy. I just want everyone to be happy. I want no suffering. I want the world to be made of rainbows. And I want pillows that are made out of marshmallows. And I want a golden road that is made out of, not gold, but something else sweet and tasty. Listen, bro, you're not making any sense.
Monogamy and promote the acceptance of homosexuality so that they can access.
But right, that's how they work. They just they just think they can make everything bland into you. They just think they can like make the world happy. Like, stop thinking about the world. You're just make believe. You're just playing make believe, man. You're just playing make believe.
Or things like condoms and lubricant
You're
and
just
sex
playing make
education and
believe.
healthcare.
None of it's
Like
real.
that would be the solution. You're not contradicting my core position. You're just adding onto it and talking about how we can do it more effectively.
You just keep reframing the argument to make an emotional appeal. So let me try one more time.
Emotional appeals like we should not have suffering.
Yes, that's just an emotional appeal. Yes, 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 ma'am. Yes,
is not.
Yes, that's entirely an emotional appeal. Yes, it's a utopian emotional appeal with no backing whatsoever. Why on earth would you think we could reach a state of no suffering, or that would even be good?
Responsible.
Who the fuck are you to decide that?
In the gay community, but rather the gay
God?
community itself is the problem, not the stigma that's against it. Because there's no other metrics that you can point to where there's stigmas where that type of behavior happens. Okay, it's exclusive to this community. The HIV rates are exclusive. Almost, I mean, there's nothing else like it that's even comparable. Okay, so that's what my premise is. You keep reframing the premise because that's the argument you want to have. But let's try this one more time. The stigma is what I'm claiming is not the problem. Okay,
yeah,
I'm not saying
again, you can't prove it is the problem
of it.
Okay, wait. I need this clarification. Do you think it's not a problem, or do you think it's not the biggest problem?
I don't.
It's not really a problem anymore.
I don't think it's a problem at all.
Okay, well, that's like you're just disagreeing with the empirical consensus.
What? Oh, we got him again. Remember we were talking about this recently. They think consensus is the same as evidence. Listen.
It's a problem at all.
Okay, well that's like you're just disagreeing with the empirical consensus.
The empirical consensus. He can't even say words. He means the empirical consensus. Empirical consensus. He's going to say, right?
It's a problem at all.
Okay, well that's like you're just disagreeing with the empirical consensus. Like
consentive. That's another thing. I think he means empirical consensus. Which is not a thing. You can't just add empirical on the front. Let's say dialectical materialism. You can't just add it on the front and be like, oh yeah, that's it now. No, consensus is not empirical. By its definition, consensus is not empirical. It's not. It's not evidence. Consensus is not evidence. And no, you can't use it as evidence. Because if you could use consensus as evidence, then the theories could just become backed up by people agreeing with them. That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid.
Like I gave you
a problem in the sense that it hurts your feelings.
No.
I don't think it's a problem in the sense that it's responsible for any of the issues.
Okay, so you keep going back to like, okay, wait, no. So when you say the issues, we could talk about a variety of things, right? We could talk about,
and you don't have to establish any of them.
About suicide. There was one study from 2009 that found that kids who were rejected by their parents.
Are you kidding me? You keep saying this one. The kids that are rejected by their parents have more unprotected sex. Are you going to say it again?
Are about 3 times more likely to attempt suicide.
Oh, okay. Finally,
there's a variety of studies showing that things like in states where like a gay marriage has become legal, suicide has like decreased. There's been
states where gay marriage has become legal, suicide has decreased. How do we know that's actually like a causative connection? See, this is wild that he asked when he was telling Andrew for proof. He's like, I need a gene. And then he's like the loosest kind of correlative things you ever heard.
It's showing that like people who are more stigmatized like don't have access to healthcare.
You keep saying that. I don't know how they don't get condoms or lube or whatever you're saying. I don't know how that makes any sense.
like sex education or condoms. These things are undeniably problems that
And you can say they're undeniably, but I'm going to deny it because it's pretty deniable.
exist. You can say
If
that
it's undeniable, then how am I doing it?
they're not the bulk of the
Dummy.
problem. I don't even know how you would go about
Ma'am.
quantifying that, and I'm not too interested in arguing about that. It's like a purely semantic issue. But to deny that stigma is
Also, anybody that says something semantics is losing. People only say that because they know the person is correct. And they want to be like, oh, no, you're just being a nerd. But almost every time someone goes semantics, they're actually just losing.
a problem, and that acceptance, in addition to maybe
Because semantics are important, especially in an argument.
promoting monogamy, if that's what you want to do, would net reduce suffering. That claim isn't supported by any evidence, like whatsoever, right? So like that's the core of what I'm saying.
The core of what you're saying is that all the evidence points to a stigma being the issues inside of the gay community.
Being a issue.
Oh, a issue.
It increases
Okay.
suicide rates. It increases rates of like STDs. It increases like lack of access to healthcare.
What you're saying is that it's almost
less discussion.
impossible to quantify. It's almost impossible then to quantify the more egalitarian we get to figure out whether or not the stigma was, how much of the problem the stigma was responsible for.
Yeah, why can't we just look at the rates over time then? If like just look at the rates over time. Shouldn't these things have gone lower? That's pretty simple.
It depends on which problem you're talking about.
Well, let's just go with the suicide.
They should all have gone lower, right?
Suicide rate.
Because approval has gone up.
So
if stigma is causing it, then the numbers will have to go down. If that would prove it, and it disproves the theory. If acceptance has gone up and the numbers haven't gone down, it disproves it.
A variety of studies. I already cited one from 2009 showing that kids whose parents rejected them for being gay were something like 3 times more likely to attempt suicide.
You just said that. Why? How's he saying the same thing again?
There are other studies showing that in states where
Stop saying the same thing.
gay marriage has been legalized, suicide rates among LGBT youth drops.
How did we just hear this?
So, like, yeah, I mean,
stop repeating that.
So the entire point of it
Make a point.
is that they're gay, they're coming out to their parents, and they have been rejected by their parents.
Yes.
And so this
Sometimes,
upsets them, and they kill themselves.
Oftentimes, yes.
Okay. And so you're saying that the suicide rate would significantly lower for gay teens, let's say. That would probably
if we could program everybody in the world to never have a problem with gay people, then we'll stop it.
The people who are most likely to come out to their parents, I would assume, would be gay teens. That it's going to significantly drop due to a more egalitarian standpoint on homosexuality.
Right, it should go down.
Sexuality within society, even though we're already at 70%.
It should go down. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, there's a variety of problems there. Like, so I don't want to conflate, like, because you could say, like, okay, well, why isn't the rate of suicide among homosexuals dropping, even though society is in general becoming more accepting?
Exactly.
But like, when we have evidence that, like, if you look at it more specifically, the specific places that are passing like pro-homosexual legislation are seeing like drops in the suicide rate. Now, there's some possibility that in general the suicide rate's not going down because you still have other places that are very
but it doesn't matter if there's other places. If overall the number is going down significantly, it should still show in the trend. What does gay marriage have to do with LGBTQ youth? Youth aren't getting married.
You might see some like social backlash theory, where if in some places of the
social
country,
backlash theory, can't you just say things like a normal person? Social backlash. I can't process anything in any reasonable, rational way outside of knowing some kind of theory about it, some kind of named theory. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Gay marriage is becoming legalized and gay people are becoming more accepted.
Social what theory?
Maybe certain.
How about just think with your brain?
Yeah, more reactionary.
Is there anything in there? Is there anything in between those ears?
Parts of the country become even more reactionary in reaction to that. That's sort of like the.
Like, how did people really think repeating things they've heard makes them smart? Do they really believe this? Like, why do they talk like this?
Of social backlash theory, but no, the
social backlash theory, dumb.
point remains that if you look
Dumb
at
idiot
individuals,
theory.
they're significantly less likely to commit suicide
Useful
if they
idiot
don't
theory.
experience stigma. And in individual states, when stigma wanes, the suicide rate of LGBT youth in those states also wanes. So
it's the only way then to significantly lessen the suffering, as you're saying that the stigma is responsible for a lot of the suffering, to promote homosexual behavior. That would be the only way to make society more egalitarian, wouldn't it?
only way. Well, okay. I'm not sure. A lot of these phrases are very loaded. What I'm saying fundamentally.
Okay, let's make it simple.
Sure. So
In
can
order
I just
to
frame
make
what
it
I'm
more
okay.
accepting, you have to have pro-gay propaganda, right?
Pro-gay propaganda. Okay, so the reason I said this
Pro-gay
is very
propaganda.
loaded is because when you say things like promoting homosexuality or pro-gay propaganda, it almost seems like you're trying to say like tell kids that they should be gay. I don't think that's what anyone's pushing for. What I'm saying is that
should you have billboards like accept them? Should you have?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
What's weird is his mannerisms sound a lot like Destiny too. Why do they all sound kind of similar like that?
so more gay representation in Hollywood, for instance.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's
Gay representation.
that would be another big one, right? This all is the promotion of homosexuality. So what my point is that if the actual
Okay, Disney and
of
Netflix.
being a homosexual is more damaging to a person than the stigma that's against homosexuality is, then wouldn't it be wise to not promote homosexual behavior in society, as people will then turn towards homosexual behavior, which would actually be more damaging to them if they were never homosexuals to begin with or engaged in the behavior?
That's my attitude to this guy.
Okay, so I mean, there's a variety
Destiny with all the students. Yeah, it's like the same kind of mannerisms.
of assumptions there. The first
All
assumption.
you do is reframe. No assumption. Just answer the question.
Yeah, he does always do that. That's true. Every time he goes, there's actually a number of things wrong with that, and then he like reframes everything. Yeah.
Any argument's gonna have like embedded assumptions. So, like one assumption that you're making is that
Yeah, then what about your embedded assumptions that you're not pointing out or talking about at all? Like the whole thing about it all being caused by the stigma. That's an assumption you got in there, and you have no way of you establish that.
gay people like aren't gay, but then they see like a billboard or gay representation in Hollywood, and then they become gay. I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah, but what if just as a thought experiment, they were always gay, but then if they never saw the billboard, they wouldn't have known that they were gay, right? And they lived their whole life, and not quite. Maybe they weren't as happy or whatever that they're gonna say, right? And they had a wife, and they're like, oh, I don't know why I don't like ladies, whatever they're talking about. And then wouldn't that be like less chance of suicide and stuff though? Or I don't know. I don't know. I think is it not at a point where this is baloney and we've already reached a point where it's fine? Like it's as normal as it's gonna get.
I think it's more so the case that people are gay, and depending on whether or not society accepts them, they're going to come out as being gay, or they might not come out as being gay. And if they don't come out as being gay, that obviously...
Also, do they even have to come out? I feel like a lot of times people just like already know, the kids already like... I don't
creates
know.
like,
I don't know. This seems baloney.
Major part of their identity that they have to keep.
Identity. See, that's all so weird to me. I don't think of my sexual I don't think of it for me as part of my identity. And you're just telling me, well, I don't get it because I'm not gay. That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, but that argument doesn't make sense. I don't feel like it's part of my identity. So why is it part of their identity? Why is being gay part of your identity? Unless it's just a communist, trick. Unless it's a communist trick to take part of your agency away, why is it an identity? Like, what actual reason is there to consider it part of your identity instead of something trivial? Like, even if you are gay, who cares? Why is it part of your identity? Who cares? In the current world, who cares? Why care? Why does it matter? How is it part of your identity? Why is it a big deal? Who cares? It's not a core part of your identity for the rest of us. Which could show you guys that maybe that's part of the problem you guys have. Is maybe that explains the STD rates or the AIDS rates or whatever. Maybe you guys are thinking of it as an identity, and that's the problem. Because we don't do that.
Secret from like their loved ones, their family. I think that causes a lot of stress, a lot of undue suffering.
I can't imagine how that would actually cause that much. Only if you consider it your identity. Only if you are programmed to believe that. Does that make sense?
I don't think
Fair
people
enough.
should have to
Fair
experience
enough.
that.
Fair enough.
Also,
Why does that have
so,
to include
also, wait, okay, wait. So,
Because otherwise you would know your family and people care about you as you, regardless. Like,
okay, so you're saying, you said
there's no straight flag besides the American
earlier
flag.
that, maybe the problem isn't just stigma. Maybe the problem is we need to promote monogamy.
Well, that's because it's just communism.
So I think,
all this shit is just
that's what we're
communism.
talking
We're supposed to pretend like it's real, but it's all just communism.
about.
No, wait, no, this is related to what we're talking about, okay? So you earlier made the argument that we could just promote monogamy. I think that's a fine idea. I think maybe
Being gay isn't communist, but I mean, this whole thing as an identity, quote unquote, that's just communism.
be part of the reason that homosexuals are more promiscuous is because, they were in large part the homosexual community and culture.
Weaponizing these different groups into identities is always communism. It's always communism. It's not sometimes communism. No, it's always communism. If you weaponize a group into an identity, that's just communism. Just because if you can be the thing, right? You can be gay without the identity of being gay, then the identity of being gay is fake.
Was born out of the sort of sexual liberation movement, which is obviously much more pro.
So why adopt it?
Stuff. But if you want to say that in order to reduce,
why adopt a fake identity?
If you want to say like
being gay is a gateway to communism, yeah, it is.
That in order to
if you adopted that identity, it is. If you're just are gay, whatever, then it wouldn't be a problem. If you adopt it as an identity, you say, I am this identity. That's the gateway to communism. Yeah.
STDs, maybe we should be promoting like marriage and monogamy.
Any identity is.
That's fine. I mean, I'm open to that argument, but like. When we're talking about that, we're inherently talking about.
I mean, you can make the case that any group, like any type of group that you just are that isn't your choice to be, is an entry to, like, what is it? Collectivism, and all collectivism is bad.
To find ways to integrate.
That doesn't mean that doesn't totally cover all, like, faiths and things, like not communists or Christians, but any kind of just identity that you just are, it leads to collectivist.
Like homosexuality, like into society rather than like further stigmatize it. So like, you say that like if more people become gay, they're inherently going to face all of these issues, which is a problem. But you already said there are cultural steps that we can take to make it so that gay people aren't facing these issues. So
got it. That's a nice reframing, but let's try this one more time.
Nobody's reframing anything. I just
one more time.
Literally made that claim earlier.
Realistically as I possibly.
No, it literally means. That's not what literally means. Literally means his words. You have to it has to actually be his words for literally. I hate when people use literally that way. There's no point in using the word the way they use it. There's no point in using the word literally the way women use it.
You just moved the goalpost twice. So let's make this super easy. Okay.
You keep saying that. You've yet to substantiate.
If being gay causes more problems than the stigma against it, okay, then would pro-gay propaganda be a bad thing?
Good question.
Okay, so sure, but you're begging the question.
Okay, gotcha.
Actually, no, I don't know if I would. No, I don't know if I would buy that premise actually, because you earlier said that even if we're not going to pin the problems they face on the stigma, we can still pin it on other cultural factors.
That's a whole other conversation.
Like the lack of promotion of monogamy. So even if stigma isn't causing the problem, and other things like a lack of monogamy are causing the problem, then making more people gay doesn't necessarily mean more suffering. If we're also taking the steps which you earlier advocated for, like promoting monogamy.
A massive promotion for monogamy campaign, and it doesn't work.
Okay.
As that was an argument that you had made earlier for heterosexuals, I believe. So let's say one more time, you make I
gotta go meet Michelle at the running room. See you guys later. I don't think that word means what you think that word means. Yeah. Have fun, right? Don't push your feet too hard. I won't. I'm gonna go buy new shoes. That might be a good idea.
Massive push for monogamy in the homosexual community, and it doesn't work. So at that point, we have this campaign for monogamy. It doesn't work.
Then what?
And we know that the lifestyle itself of being gay is more damaging than the stigma against the lifestyle of being gay. So one more time.
No,
In that
I
case, would you
totally
say
reject
it
this
wouldn't be
framing.
wise? Okay, well let's try.
Because,
Let's,
no,
let's
okay, wait. Let me
reject it this way. Let me
no,
finish.
let me
Let me finish, and then you can have your chance. Okay. All being gay is same-sex sodomy in men. That's it. That's all homosexual behavior is. You can
Yeah, how's that
promote
identity?
homosexuality without sodomy at all, can't you? Is sodomy a necessary part of being gay? Do you have
by
to
sodomy, do you just mean gay people having sex?
having anal
I mean,
sex? That's the only way that they can have penetrative sex. Is anal.
penetrative, sure. I mean, I'm sure a lot of gay people just do like oral sex.
Okay,
I mean,
fine, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
But the massive HIV
Sure.
rates aren't coming from the oral sex.
there can
They're
all,
coming from the anal
sure.
sex. So
Okay.
one more time, okay, you can make a promotion all you want for a behavior, and in your case, it's worked fairly well in order to make us more egalitarian when it comes to homosexuals.
Right, we did
Right?
it.
Mm-hmm.
If
We did it.
make the exact same push for monogamous relationships in gays and it doesn't work, right? Then where are we left? Are we left then understanding that, hey, the actual act of
Is
gay
more
sex
risky.
is what's causing 90% of the issues inside the gay community, and it has nothing to do with anything else?
No, because that would show that the lack of promotion of monogamy didn't account for the large, like there's a bunch of other factors that you would have to look into. You would have to look into, okay, you'd have to try promoting things like better sex education, passing legislation that
That's wild that they actually think sex education's a real thing still. I think oral it is. It is. But it's wild that the commies actually think sex ed is like a real thing.
makes
Isn't that
schools
crazy?
engage in like better
They just believe in everything. They just believe in every random thing that a teacher tells them. They're like, oh yeah. Like they have no idea what's real and what's fake in society at all. The sex ed is real? Are you kidding me? You're quoting sex ed now?
more specialized
What's
sex
wrong with
education for
you?
LGBT people. You'd have to like
Sex ed is bad for all people.
encourage, like
There should be
not
no sex ed. There should be no sex ed.
discriminatory practices in healthcare, so gay people have more access to healthcare.
That's
You
just another case of the state creating a problem and then creating the solution that actually causes more of the problem. So they justify their own existence. That's what sex ed is. Everybody knows it. Thomas Sowell pointed this out. Milton Friedman pointed this out.
more access to like LGBT community ties, so they have more access to things like lubricants and condoms. Like there would have to be.
This is just a commie lie that sex ed's a good thing. It's just a commie lie. I've looked into it. They say that abstinence, the study that they quote about the abstinence thing, they say it's like just bad, right? Because there's still the similar amount of STDs they find later on. But what they don't tell you is that the time before their first partner is significantly lengthened. It's like a year to 2 years longer before, like they're older, right? Before they have their first partner, from abstinence education. So it's not useless. That's a lie, actually. That's actually a lie. They actually lie when they say that. And people don't check the studies either. It was a meta-analysis that I looked at. The big one that like they quote. And you look into it, yeah, they quote the other parts. They quote like the fact that the STDs are kind of similar. But the detail that they skip is that first sexual encounter is years later. It's like instead of 15, it's 17, right? It's like it's for what a lot of parents to find out if they actually read that study would be like, whoa, I guess maybe I should do abstinence. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's a little detail they hide and don't say for some reason. Very, very convenient.
A bunch of things that you would have to try to like
My sex ed was late night TV, sure.
alleviate the impact. And I guess if you're saying that like if we tried everything and like still gay people were like facing all these
I think that probably is just a question people should just ask their parents, right? Their parents should just tell them. It shouldn't be expected school will do it. It should be parents figure out a time and do it.
arms, then it's like
Right?
okay,
Like who else should tell them? That's the only people I should tell.
you're just question begging. Like you're literally saying,
I
well,
mean, obviously they're gonna have certain conversations with their friends. Too, right? You can't stop that.
what if you were wrong? Wouldn't you be wrong? And it's like, yeah, sure,
No,
congrats.
I'm trying to walk through to a logical conclusion. gays here
Okay.
in the United States are not monogamous. Okay, they're just not monogamous. There's a very low percentage of gays that are monogamous in the United States. Okay, some studies that I've seen
Look, he's trying to look it up right as he's talking.
have
But he doesn't believe
homosexuals up
him.
to 500
I don't know how
partners
you're
in
gonna
their
find a
lifetime.
conflicting
Sometimes
thing
up
of
to
that. Look at him. Look at her just dismissing that so easily.
1,000 partners in their lifetime. Okay,
It's true,
this is
though.
not normative behavior at all. Okay, you don't see this among heterosexuals often. Is there promiscuity in the heterosexual community? There is. Okay, but it's not anywhere on the scale.
Yeah,
that
it's
you see
way
in the
crazy.
homosexual community.
It's way crazy.
Which makes me think that there's probably something else going on there besides just a stigma.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last thing
sense.
again?
What? Which last thing?
You cut out like just the last thing you said. You're making a comparison to some other group in gay people.
No, I wasn't making a
Was he even listening?
comparison to any other group in gay people. I was making a comparison between heterosexuals and homosexuals. Yes. So I said there is promiscuity in the heterosexual community,
right.
but at the rates, it's not even comparable. Homosexuals are far more promiscuous than heterosexuals are. And if
so what's the thing with that? All stigma. Now, that's all they're ever going to say. All the communists are ever going to do is blame the other group. They're going to say it's internalized homophobia. If it wasn't stigma, it'd be internalized homophobia, right? Like, even if Andrew got her to believe it, they just be like, well, it's internalized homophobia. Like, there's no stopping them. They just change the thing. They just do the dialectic again.
Partners, it leads me to believe that there's something.
That's what they're doing. They're just doing the dialectic on the topic. They're just changing
going on there than just stigma.
They're just going to keep doing it. It's never going to stop.
Stigma. This also happens with middle-aged and elderly gay people as well. Okay, this is not just for the young bucks.
Yeah, why is that a thing?
Who are having trouble coming out to their parents. This is an across-the-board thing.
Why is that a thing?
Now, I don't think at 40 or 50 years old in the United States, you're going to have a problem figuring out where the STDs are coming from, or have a problem figuring out that it's a high-risk behavior to have multiple sex partners. And yet, this is still the behavior that we see within the community.
Yeah, why?
Okay, so like,
how do you blame for older people? How do you blame society anymore?
A few things. Like, I don't know why we keep going back to this premise. You keep.
At what age do people become responsible for their own lives? That's the real question for these commies. At what age do people become responsible for their own choices? Because they'd say never. Like, that's what it boils down to. At what age do people become responsible for their own lives? Never.
Making this argument that
never,
because gay people
They're
are
never
more monogamous and that accounts for their STD rates. That
but that's the divide between Andrew's logic and her logic. Is Andrew's thinking it out, right? And they're just thinking that because the group is an oppressed group, and then they're reasoning from there. So they're like, it has to be caused by their circumstances, because they're obviously not in fair circumstances because they're oppressed. That's the only way they can think. And they're just going to reason from there every time. You're never going to get them to see it doesn't matter how many facts, it doesn't matter, because they're just going to see it that way, and the details they'll fill in with whatever they can find to fit.
That in any way leads to
your... what I said. Not gay people.
Or sorry, less monogamous. The idea that leads in any way to your conclusion. I just don't see that. Either present me like a gay gene.
And again, isn't it wild? They always say present me like they're the determiners. They're so narcissistic, so they're the king of the universe. Present them.
That makes gay people more.
Why present them?
You have to admit that it's some cultural factor which makes people who happen to be gay more likely to be pushed towards.
Why are they not responsible for themselves? Why isn't anything to do with anything that's them?
Socialization or whatever.
See, all they can see is socialization
into more non-monogamous.
That's behavior. The only way they can view the world is socialization.
Because if you can't do that, then illness. It could also be mental illness that leads to the people.
Where do you think? Okay, so
sexuality itself is a mental illness.
So no, it's not. Homosexuality stopped being classified as a mental illness according to the DSM and the American.
Because of political pressure from.
No, because 6,000 psychiatrists.
Well. That's debatable, huh? If I would put dollars to donuts, The DSM is a pretty political book. So
psychiatrists voted on it and all
Because of
came to the
political
conclusion.
pressure from the LGBTQ community.
but when I say it's an illness, like it needs to be treated, no. But I can see why they put it down that way.
No, that's
Yeah.
like you're just conspiracy
No, that's not a
theorizing.
conspiracy.
Do you want me to like go over some specific studies that like led to this conclusion?
Especially with the increased suicide rate, it makes sense why they would think about it. DSM is
man.
very political. Oh yeah, definitely no.
More of the Gish Gallop.
Definitely.
Okay, so wait, okay, wait.
It's political and it's there's all kinds of lobbyists like
So no, you just
I've
no, you
spent-
can't just say wrong
ahead,
shit,
go ahead.
and then when I like try.
look at him, see, look at that. See, because Andrew said it was he considers it a mental illness. Now this lady is very mad. You can tell, right? This is something I know, like you notice. Like there's that switch that the commie brain that you insult them the wrong way, and all of a sudden they're out for blood. He flipped the switch. That's why he's talking like that. That's why she's talking like that. So.
Okay, wait. So no, you just keep, no, you can't just say wrong
ahead,
shit.
See, you hear it? You hear it? That's it. Because he said that he thinks it's a mental illness. That is not something they can stand for.
And then when I like try to
But
explain
then
like
after
why.
this,
Pissed.
we can move down
now.
to pedophilia and the ties in with homosexuality from pedophilia.
Okay.
Now, when you understand the communist angle to all of it, the ties make total sense. If you don't understand the communist ties to it, right, then most communists, like this woman here, this individual here, will take it as offensive because they're going to say that you're basically just saying gay people and pedophiles are the same. No. There's a big communist tie, though, when you actually get into like queer theory stuff, and also the political movement to say that going after pedophiles is just like the homophobia, homo scare, or whatever they call it. What was it? Gay scare, homo scare. What do they call the thing? That's a political move. There's political point, a political strategy that they're using the same exact one, and that's because it's a communist strategy. The trans lobby heavily influenced the DSM with circular citations and WPATH along with the endocrine society. Yeah, definitely, man. It's all messed up.
So,
now.
I mean, there was like a variety of studies, 1982, 1989. There was a study by, I forget her first name. Her last name is Hooker, in like the 50s.
Hooker.
All finding that basically there's no inherent link between homosexuality and mental illness. There have been a variety.
Well, you're saying there's no link between the two, but if he's saying they are, it is one, that wouldn't matter, right? Because he's saying it is one in itself. A study saying they didn't find any link between mental. Well, what does that mean?
Of studies, including ones that I've cited earlier. I've cited the 2009 study
What does that mean?
times, showing that increased rates of mental illness are a product of things like discrimination.
How do you prove that, ma'am? But again, it's because once you understand how they see the world, right, it's always the oppressed group isn't responsible for anything in their lives, and the oppressed group caused it all, and they just make up some excuse why. That's all it is. That's all the communist brain does.
Lack of acceptance.
That's the dialectic in practice.
And because there was a slew of studies, psychiatrists in the American Psychological Association voted
Oh yeah, the APA.
en masse to
No controversy around the APA.
declassify homosexuality as a mental illness. You can say that it was just, some conspiracy where they were being like threatened by gay people or there's political pressure. You could say that if you want to, but like the fact is, like, there were numerous studies that have showed this. There were numerous studies that have continued to show this.
But what are you showing?
Every reputable like organization on the planet, whether we're talking about the American Psychological Association, the American Sociological Association, the American Medical Association, the World Health
APA also garbage. Yeah, exactly. It's not scientifically testable. Right.
Organization.
That's the advantage they have there.
All of these organizations have come to the conclusion that it is not accurate to classify.
But they don't even believe in science, right? They've basically, like, at the end of the day, science is something that's done by white men, by the oppressive group, right? And without the other viewpoints doing it, it doesn't even count. So you can dismiss science itself if you want to.
classify homosexuality as a mental illness because
Okay.
increased prevalence of mental
Got it. But
mental
since we're
illness.
doing
Are you going to dismiss any of one? What do you put next to it? Opinion. 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 Opinion.
Sexuals comes as a result of stigma rather than some
Opinion.
inherent
the Gish
feature.
Gallup, though, let's look at the Bell Weinberg study, which shows that 28% of homosexual men have had more than 1,000
What the heck?
partners. 1,000 partners.
What?
Would you
That
consider
seems
that?
Heavily influenced by critical theory. Oh, definitely, right? Yeah. But I mean, even I agree 100%. It's heavily influenced by critical theory. But like, there's like a vulgar version of it, right? Like just the base version, which basically all they get these people to believe is, right? This is the best I can boil it down to: life is unfair, right? And then, well, what's unfair? Well, life is suffering. Life is unfair. I don't like life. So, and this is why it's so Gnostic too, right? It says life is unfair, life is suffering. It's unfair that I didn't get what I want out of life, that other people get more than me, that they get this, that they get that. It's not fair. They should give it to us. They should give it to them. They should be fair. And the they that's implied there, right? That's how they get diluted. The they invent a they, and they're told what the they is. They're told it's society, it's white men, it's this, it's that. But the point is, they reversed the Loki, the logi, the logi, the lodge, the point, the point of reference, the point of control. They've changed from they've changed from they're in control of things to society is doing something to them. Like the reason that that life isn't fair has to be because somebody did something to them, not because they didn't do something or they couldn't fix it. It's all, this is why it all boils down to responsibility. They think, they flip it, right? And they're convinced that it's not their fault. It's society's fault. It's whatever's fault. And so then all their mental gymnastics are around, well, why is it somebody else's fault? Why is it their fault? It's never around like anything real, because it's not society's fault. That's a ridiculous frame. You got to reverse it and be like, okay, my life, I'm the only variable I have control over is my own life. So adjust that and fix it best I can. That, and life is just that way. Just that, without, it's just, I know it's wild, but they break people in such a way that you just like, it's just a really basic thing. They just have to accept personal responsibility for their lives, and they would be able to think normally. But they don't. They can't.
Would you consider that abnormal?
They believe in the science. Look at him smiling at 1,000 partners. Like it's quirky, right? I know. Like that doesn't even. They don't. He doesn't. They don't. She doesn't even think of it. There are studies. Meanwhile, the studies suffer from replicating Christ. I know. And if you, I brought up the replicating Christ to my brother, and he said that's a conspiracy theory. What? I said, look it up on Wikipedia, bro. It's not they actually get people to believe it's a conspiracy theory. The commies believe it's a conspiracy theory.
Sure, if that's true.
Isn't that crazy? Because again, they don't care about science.
Consider it
But that's my point here, is that it's not even like the academic side anymore. The real like break is getting people to just think like, it's not my fault. Society's unfair and it's somebody else's fault. There's somebody to blame. And then critical theory just evolves out of that. Like, that's all you have to believe to do critical theory already.
abnormal. Well, it's a study, so it must be true, right? That's Bell and Weinberg. You can find it on page 308. Okay, 79% of homosexual men say half of their sex partners are complete strangers.
Okay.
79%
Wow.
respondents,
How many was that?
partners are 08. Okay, 79% of homosexual men say half of their sex partners
What the?
are complete strangers.
79% of men say half of their sex partners are strangers. What, in bathrooms?
79% of respondents.
Okay, sure. So even if I'm going,
Epstein files a conspiracy theory when the Democrats have power. Now it's proven fact that Trump did everything they accuse him of.
so I've already agreed that.
Yeah, I don't know.
The range for homosexual sex partners in their
I haven't checked too into the Epstein
study of
files.
sexual profiles, 2,583 older homosexuals, okay, have reported having upwards of 700 sex partners within a 10-year stream.
Older people, 10 years. So like a 40-year-old back to their 30s.
Now this is
Yeah, I guess those are real.
incredible. That's incredible. That has nothing to do with cultural acceptance. If you're in your middle,
look at how would that have to do with
and
that?
you're having.
But see, this is the point. This is the real question to ask them. At what age does somebody become responsible for their own life? And you know what they would say? Never. Never. That's the difference. That's a disconnect between Andrew and her, is that he thinks a person's responsible for their self. She never does. She thinks it never happens.
That type of sex with that many partners.
That's the disconnect.
That percentage rate.
People you got to bridge that.
Ridiculous. Okay, so no, I don't. I think that I'm not saying that there's a gene. I'm saying that there are behavioral studies. There are behavioral studies, though, that show that for some reason, people who are attracted to the behavior seem to also.
It's not like all studies are bad. There are studies, but you have to learn to read them, and you have to know like a bit about the field and stuff like that a little bit.
Want to have a lot.
But you know what? With LLMs, it's going to be even easier. Andrew and her, is there a third person I don't see? No, Andrew and the woman in the bottom right there.
Sex partners. And it has nothing to do with whether or not monogamy has been promoted or not promoted. It has to do with whatever their sexual appetites are, seem to require a lot of sex partners. This is within the study. Would you like me to quote for you studies for gays and being in monogamous relationships and how little it happens? I can give you those too. Whatever you'd like. Okay, so
I'm hearing an echo somewhere.
So going back and forth in the Gish Gallop here, which we just did, why don't we move on to gay marriage?
No, let's stick here for a second because I'm super curious because you keep going back to this argument that homosexuality, the reason homosexuals are more promiscuous is because of like, the reason that they have more STDs is because of promiscuity.
That is his theory, yeah.
I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Something to do with it.
Then my question is...
Oops, slipped, penis, no, again. Random hole. I don't know what happened. Remember that story? What's the story about the farmer with the 3 holes in his wall or something, right? And then the guy puts his penis in 3 holes. Is that what it is? Is that what's happening?
Of course. Okay, well, that's just not true. If you want to hand wave away the fact that gay people have very little access to healthcare, sex education.
Well, again, I don't know how you're saying any of these things for real. You say very little access. You only demonstrate there's a little bit of issue with that, and even then, I'm not understanding what you mean. Why can't gay people get condoms? They're free, available in like cities. Like, what are you talking about? Well, again, I'm gonna imagine a dystopian hellscape where you step into the bathroom and it scans you with an infrared and goes gay and kicks you out of the bathroom or something. Like, what are you talking about? How can they not get those things? That doesn't make sense. Are they stupid? Again, it just goes back to they don't think these people have agency, man. They think people do not have agency.
Lubricants, if you want to say that this
they don't think of people have agency.
You can say that if you want. You're just wrong. That's fine.
How can you imagine a gay person? You're a gay person in New York City. I can't get condoms. Why?
But if you want to, if you want to go to your other point,
right? And it now totally makes sense that that's inherent in the thing.
That what was your other point? You were essentially making the argument that gay people are more promiscuous. That's why they have higher STD rates. Yes. My question then.
Yes, makes total sense.
Why are they more promiscuous?
Obviously, because they're men who have a higher sex drive and they don't have a chance of knocking them up. Duh.
You keep saying like it's not because of stigma. Okay, then what is it because of? Either you have to say
men have a higher sex drive than women. That's why. Duh.
Because you said that people who tend to be more attracted to the same sex also just tend to be more promiscuous.
Because why wouldn't lesbians be higher then? He didn't say people that tend to be. No, actually, you guys already had a disagreement about this, about lesbians. You already brought that up. Lesbians are not more promiscuous. Why? You already asked that earlier. Now you're saying just happen to be attracted. He didn't say that. He only said gay people, which you meant men in that case. In fact, you guys have already talked about the lesbians and noted that they're not more promiscuous.
that's just restating the thesis. I'm saying, why is that? You can either say A, it's because of certain cultural conditions surrounding
It's
the
obvious.
homosexual, or you can B, name a gene.
Male. Why?
Name a gene, or
no,
tell
I
me
don't.
that
That would be a deductive argument. I'm making an inductive argument. What
okay,
I'm
so is
saying
it a product of cultural
what-
circumstances around
no,
being
I don't
gay, or
think
is it a
that
gene?
is, because the
Okay,
evidence
then what's the
doesn't-
gene?
Let me finish, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
The evidence doesn't show. I don't know
Y chromosome.
the exact cause. Okay, but
Testicles.
I can tell you that and you've conceded to this already, that even if the exact cause isn't genetic,
That's true.
okay, and that it's behavioral, and for some reason from the social conditioning within the gay community, I can tell you for certain that what the studies show is that they are far and away more promiscuous, and that promiscuity is what leads to those STD rates.
I don't get how it's not it's not obvious that like am I wrong about the men thing? Men have a higher sex drive. They're not at risk of knocking them up. Simple.
Now,
Testicles.
What you're
I feel
trying
like I'm
to
looping
say,
right now.
make a deductive argument proving.
Well, he's saying what is the proof? What is the factor that makes them more promiscuous? Testicles.
That there's some reason other than societal
Testicles.
reasons that they're so promiscuous.
Testicles.
But the burden of proof doesn't lie on me to do that. The burden of proof really lies on you, because when I'm
True.
that through logical deduction, I can't think of another reason.
Yeah, what other
than
one is there?
being gay leading to that problem, because the stigmas themselves don't seem to reduce it when we become more egalitarian. So while I can't pinpoint it and say for certain this is so, I can inductively say it's quite likely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that there's a genetic cause, right?
Oh my god.
I'm not saying that there's a genetic cause.
Why are you acting dumb? You know he didn't say that.
Okay, so you're saying that it's unlikely.
The lifestyle of homosexual, I would say that it's probably more akin to a psychological cause, due to the fact that homosexuals, I believe, are suffering from a mental illness. The same.
Well, that's just you're just wrong. Like,
okay, I get it. I can't, and that's not a thing that I can prove through.
Well, now, yeah, now where our stuff is now, you really can't.
But what I can do is
literally no study or like reputable
well, that's not really true.
Scientific organization in the modern era takes this position. Like, you're just wrong. So your explanation doesn't hold up. So it must be something else, right? So
that's how you know psychology is bullshit, though, is because what he's saying right there is what she's saying right there.
Just a second, I will.
Okay.
Right back to you. But what I'm saying here is that here's what my argument leads me to believe.
Okay.
My argument leads me to believe that the amount of promiscuous sex has to do specifically with the gay lifestyle. Now, you say that it's due to non-acceptance. That is what causes that problem inside of the gay community. I say that I reject that premise outright, because as we've become more egalitarian, it has not solved.
The dark side of LGBTQ is driven by culture. What part do you mean besides the communism?
Or even significantly reduce.
I think, I think it's all the same thing, right? It's all embrace hedonism, embrace momentary desire, embrace
the problem. So
there shouldn't, if anything's wrong with your, like, somebody else was talking about how society used to be, instead of like now everybody goes to psychology, right? But psychology comes out of medicine, and medicine is do no harm, and that it's not a principle necessarily. Like before, we used to go by virtue, right? People were trying to be virtuous, and that's how you would try to have a clean spirit, clean mind, a clean like conscience, right? Is you would try to be virtuous. You would try to, and now it no longer. Now basically the implication is you can have a healthy mind without being virtuous, which is probably not true. Which is probably not true. There are these people that think they can just like indulge in whatever thing that make them feel bad, in their head and just take medicine to, you know, try to wash it away, to try to avoid it, try to not deal with it. If people just if aimed for like telling the truth, if people aim for being good to each other, like for real, all that kind of stuff, instead of like being taught to be self-centered, indulgent in the moment, aim further out time scale, all that kind of stuff, they'd be more mentally sound.
I look at other factors. Just because I can't point,
and that's all connected to all the LGBTQ stuff too, of course, because all these people embrace the most insane political stance possible.
what the conclusive factor would be and prove it,
which comes out of that, right?
doesn't mean that inductively it doesn't make sense.
Sure. So
that's what I think. That's what I think.
The reason that I bring this up is because like your explanation is extremely like weak. It just doesn't hold up.
Weak's not an
Sure. So, okay. I mean, the argument is that like the explanation that you're taking isn't like held by any study or reputable scientific organization on the planet. But if you want to like talk about whether or not decreased stigma has led to lower rates of promiscuity, first of all, like even if that were true, that doesn't necessarily hinder my argument that it's some cultural force. It could be some other cultural force that isn't directly impacted by stigma. For example, perhaps.
And I think also, I was saying this earlier, but I think even aiming for societal improvement, I think is a bad idea. Because like, I want the communists to prove to me aiming for societal good is even a good idea. I know that sounds weird to say, but I mean, I want proof that it ever works. Because what I mean is, we can aim for individual good, right? We can target that, we can see that, we can understand what that is. We can aim for like a moral, like universal good, like Christianity kind of stuff, virtues, things like this. Those are the two things you can advocate for. Societal good is some like weird thing in between where it's just like you're trying to figure it out. And I don't think we have a tool set capable of ever doing it. Because if we try, we're using tools that are not fine enough for the work, right? Like we're just like swinging around battle axes, kind of like a machete or something, trying to cut the grass, right? Like that's, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So I think we should never ever aim for it anymore. I don't like they always have these conversations, they always have these things. I don't think we should aim for the betterment of society at all, because every time we do, the only thing that if out of all the times we aim for the betterment of society, what have we done? Mostly bad. Mostly communism you can attribute to that. Aim for the betterment of society. When we aim for like better individuals, that can lead to good, right? When society comes and like talks about everybody leading towards better individual freedoms or better individual lives or whatever thing, that can lead towards good. But societal good is not a real thing. I don't think you can aim for it. I don't think I don't see any evidence that it's a good thing to aim for societal good. Everyone just acts like it's fine if somebody says that, like the good of society. I don't think we should ever even aim for that. I don't think you can understand that accurately. I think it's, why take a chance like where it's a fuzzy number instead of where we have like more accurate things like individual good? Why ever take a shot at that fuzzy number where we're like 30% sure based on all these loose sciences, sociology, psychology, all these loose sciences? Why are we ever doing that at all? Because we're just taking a risk where we don't have to. Aim for the individual good or aim for whatever moral good, virtue thing you have. But don't aim for societal good, because it's just not, it's just mist, it's just a mirage. You can't even aim for it. It doesn't make any sense.
The reason is that the homosexual community...
It's a slippery slope. Yeah, I no longer think we should ever aim for societal good. I know that sounds wild to say, but like I've been thinking about it the past couple of days. I don't think saying I'm doing for the good of society ever makes sense, because it's not a real thing. Like you can't actually dial that in. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't actually dial those numbers in accurately. So why are we ever taking the risk? Because when we mess up at that level, at that scale, we can ruin people's lives. So why ever take a risk? Why not instead use our resources on improving individual good, individual welfare, or like moral, like virtue goals. Those two goals are the types you can aim at. Society isn't a goal you can aim at. I just don't see how it works.
Was born out
societal good becomes a justification for crime. It will definitely, but I'm just thinking, like, even at the most base level, like, is there ever a time where it's actually good? And I think it's not even worth aiming at all. Like even a little bit.
Or the modern iteration.
Because we should accomplish good, right? Just doing the other one, aiming for the other ones. We should be able to deal with all the problems in one way or the other. One of those two ways should answer it.
Sexual community was largely born out of the sort of sexual liberation movement of the 60s and 70s. And so these sort of impacts and cultural attitudes of
what blows my mind is these commies have no idea or the programming starts in like the 1900s, right? Or even, I mean, kind of it was pushed for stuff before then. But like they don't even know that. They don't know the scale of societal control that they're inside of. Like how many layers of the onion they're inside of. How many, well, like what level of the matrix they're in. They're in like a matrix inside the matrix inside the matrix.
Movement still like resonate in the homosexual community today.
Okay, great. So it's not stigma. That's
okay, sure.
point.
It doesn't have to be stigma. As long as it's some cultural factor, then that can be done away with, such that my argument that we should continue to destigmatize homosexuality still works.
Why?
Because your argument was that
it also blows my mind how similar they are. Like how similar this woman is to Destiny, or like whenever these guys, they just come out of college and they just talk exactly like this.
Other than stigma, then who cares?
I thought, well, didn't Desi say he dropped out of college though?
It's about the stigma.
Because stigma is a contributing factor. You seem to.
Where does he get his retardation from?
This really weird like premise that it can only be one thing. Like,
but he did go. I have another friend that went to like law school or something. It was super commie also, but also dropped out before getting his degree. I wonder how often that happens. And do they come out still raging communists? I think they do. I think it's just any college education, they're going to be raging communists.
There's multiple factors that play into this, right?
Okay,
Stigma is.
I used to be communist out of college. That's wild.
Undeniably one of them.
Assume that there are tens of thousands. There's probably.
I was an anarchist, which I still kind of am, like a more commie one when I was younger.
Still primaries.
I was more open to the commie ideas.
Sure.
Okay, so
now I understand a bit more about economics, so I'm not.
Primaries, there can be multiple primaries.
Let's focus on primaries of problems.
Sure. Let's just focus on problems that we know exist, right?
So when a gay person kills themselves because
I went from like a general anarchist to more what do they call it? Like more capitalist anarchist. I dropped out of college because it was communist. I can totally understand that, Brandon. Get the heck out of there, man.
Their toe, right? There's any number of mitigating.
I'm telling you, people like when people tell me they have a degree, I'm like, oh my god.
Factors that you can throw in there, but as a primary, I don't.
Oh no.
I don't think that the social stigma, as it has been reduced.
You want to see someone? Hold on. See if I can find this real quick. Check this out. Where is it? The midwit thing. Goes out. Receipt for obedience. A degree doesn't prove confidence. It proves you can follow instructions for 4 years. The autodidact proves intelligence by doing. The nerd waits for a teacher to tell them what is true. Made that a while ago.
Seems to be doing anything to solve these problems within that community. And your entire premise, once again, is that you want to alleviate their suffering. And I'm saying
I gradually stopped being communist, the more real world experience. Yeah, Thomas Sowell too, right? Thomas Sowell too. I started hating communists after reading Austrian economics and COVID-19. Yeah, I hate communists too. But now that I know about the Federal Reserve, I realize the bankers are kind of... The communists aren't really our enemy that we have to beat. They're one of them maybe. But if we could get sound money, right? We could get our own money. We could get our own, like if we build parallel systems, that's the best strategy, I think. And communists are just going to just push them out of the way. Like, get out of here. And do it on our, like the rest of us do it. then we got a shot. But I don't know. They're not there. I used to think they're like my big enemy, right? Like I got to beat the commies. Now it's like they're doomed anyway. The systems are doomed. We just got to build something new on our own and set off on, away from the commies and let them drown.
By being homosexuals, then they seem to suffer from the stigma of
That's what
people
I think,
disliking them being homosexuals.
Okay, sure. So let's run with the idea, okay? Because you said, okay, maybe it's not stigma. Maybe it's something like my explanation of, the sexual freedom movement, okay? Let's run with that for a second. So what we have is that the reason that gay people are so promiscuous is largely caused by some cultural factor, not necessarily stigma. And B, we know that stigma is a contributing problem to STDs and to other things like suicide. And so the solution then would be both to address the stigma that's a contributing factor.
I'm telling you, man, I'm tired of societal solutions. Let's just not do it. Let's aim for individual solutions that help individuals. And then, whatever moral virtues you want to aim towards, make those two types of appeals. And that's it. I'm not listening to societal good anymore. I think it's always going to be bad.
Because that's independently causing harm while also addressing the other.
Like, who are we even to aim for societal good? How do we know we're smart enough to do it right? How do we know we're smart enough to accurately judge what's going on in society and fix it? How do we even know that? How do we even assume that?
That we're also acknowledging that may be independent from stigma. Because if the cause of these behaviors isn't necessarily like biological, but is some cultural factor, even if it's not related to stigma that we can do away with, then your argument that necessarily if we promote homosexuality and more people become homosexual, that therefore they have to suffer is an invalid premise.
No, it's still a valid premise, because even if we do all of those things and eliminate all of the stigma, and homosexuals are still suffering at the same rates they're suffering right now through suicide, HIV, and STD.
Yeah, what happens if we do all that and it's still the same, right? What about the biological factor? Right. I mean, the fact that it's men, right? I'm telling you, the testicles. The men have a higher sex drive, right? And they don't have to worry about us. They don't have to worry about having a kid. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's very obvious why it happens.
We've accomplished nothing.
Do you understand what question begging is?
We have compromised our values.
And why do they always talk to you like this? Do you understand? Why can't they just be like just talk like normal, like they're the teacher. They're always the teacher. The commie's always the teacher, and you're always the student. It's ridiculous.
To be more accepting of a behavior that we don't agree.
Can't we be the same level? Like, just talk to me like we're colleagues, like we're the same.
With and have gotten nothing in exchange for it. Now you've been accepted, okay, but your suffering hasn't been alleviated, and yet our institutions have been completely and totally destroyed.
So two things. So for one, I don't see how we have to destroy any institutions in order to accept homosexuality. Wait.
Yeah, I wish you would stop doing it, commies. Agreed. I wish you commies would stop. Yeah. I wish you'd maybe let them go back. I mean, well, they're already screwed. They were screwed from the start. Well, not all of them, but education was.
So, first of all, I don't understand how we have to destroy any of our institutions.
Maybe dressing as a fox and on orgies of the people isn't healthy long term. Maybe it solidifies unhealthy behavior and immaturity. Well, yeah, I mean, the immaturity is all that same stuff again, right? It's like get people to think that their feelings are valid and just pursue themselves, like just think in the short term. We don't encourage the thing like sacrifice and all that kind of stuff that we should, right? And that's the reason why I'm on the side, even though I'm not Christian, I'm on the side of we should go back to practicing the virtues, because this way we tried this way, man. We tried this way. We tried this way. We tried it out. It's not working. And everybody that's practicing it always lies to you too. What's up, Farn?
Accept homosexuality. Two, I like how your argument is that we shouldn't accept homosexuality because what if we accepted homosexuality and it didn't solve any problems? Yeah, congrats. If you were correct in a hypothetical universe, then you'd be correct. You're just questioning.
Satanists think it is healthy. It's clear everything is bad. It's clear every single metric of everything is worse and worse because of how society is.
Begging.
It's wrong. You're framing.
Crime's worse. And mental illness is worse. Every single metric you possibly look at stuff is worse.
And I'm saying right now,
But everything is framing. That's what a debate is.
It's not solving these issues, but we're having
How
to
are things? Not bad, Parn. Not bad. Nice to see ya.
compromise.
That's not true. It's solving
to
numerous
eliminate-
issues.
What's causing extended adolescence? Well, that's the point, man. That's the point of public school, bro. They extended public school. Here, hold on. Check this out. Listen, they said it. It's in. John Taylor Gatto covers it in his essay against school. Right here, look. I know I bring this up, but check this out. Elwood P. Kuberly detailed and praised the way the strategy of successive school enlargements had extended childhood by 2 to 6 years, and forced schooling was at that point still quite new. The same Kuberly, who was dean of Stanford School of Education, a textbook editor who Houghton Mifflin, and Conant's friend and correspondent at Harvard, written the following in the 1922 edition of his book, Public School Administration. Our schools are factories in which the raw products, children, are to be shaped and fashioned, and it is the business of the school to build its pupils according to specifications laid down. They intentionally extended it. That was the point of public school, to make children. What does it say? Make children into children. Theorists from Plato to Rousseau to our own Dr. Inglis know that children could be cloistered with other children, stripped of responsibility and independence, encouraged to develop only trivializing emotions of greed, envy, jealousy, and fear. They would grow older but never truly grow up. It's on purpose. It's on purpose. They did it with public school, and then college is just to extend it even further. Is they're trying to make, oh, now you're a child until you're 24, right? It's all on purpose to make it so we never grow up. It's covered in the medium is the massage too.
You're suffering, but it's not eliminating any
In
of
there
your
too.
suffering. And so
Well,
we're making all the compromise and getting nothing in exchange.
And that he makes the case that like the TV is part of it, which it is. But all the stuff has been doing that on purpose. It's been to, I figured it's to like the public school is really to strip your family away from you and make you dependent on the state, and as if the state is your family. And so then you can't become a family, and then families can't build tribes, and then tribes can't stand against the state.
For it. That's my point.
Okay, so you're just wrong. Like, we have seen that increased rates of like acceptance of homosexuality does lead to things like lower suicide rates. People who have
Gas is
better access
15.
to
But it
like
also
Gas?
can lead
sex
to increase
education
in
and
STDs.
better access to things like healthcare leads to like an increase in people being able to use STDs and a decrease in their
Use STDs?
and the likelihood that they're going to have like things like unprotected
They
sex.
use an
If we do
STDs?
see that the things that I am advocating for empirically lead to reductions in the problems that homosexuals are facing.
Even if
Like-
they lead to reductions in the problem,
My favorite thing that she said was empirical consensus. Extended
in
adolescence
total,
behavior. No,
they lead
totally,
to
yeah.
massive reductions. Even let's say if
Totally correct.
homosexual,
And if you push on them, they say like they act like you're not accepted. Like the feminist motto of, if you can't accept me at my worst, you can't have me at my best. It's all the same thing, right? It's all pushing for the same. You don't need to change ever. You don't need to take responsibility for anything ever. Everything else is not. Don't worry about anything. Everything will be fine. Just be however you want to be.
activity in and of itself.
But that doesn't lead to mental stability, though, is the problem, right? None of that stuff leads to mental stability. What leads to mental stability is like taking care of your friends, taking care of your family best you can. All these kind of things that make you feel good about your life, right? Telling the truth, being somebody people can depend on. All that kind of stuff is what makes you feel good, and not when you're stressing out. You can think back to those things, and it has like a floor of confidence that you can't go below, right? And skills you learn, and they're not into learning skills either. They're not into planning ahead and like learning real skills, even though the AI thing, they're pretending like they all draw now. I've seen what those guys draw, okay? I've seen what they draw. I don't know why they're acting like they're artists.
So damaging to the person. You're still promoting suffering, even if you mitigate some.
Women who say they are the worst, and you'll never have them at their best. It's an excuse for
of the suffering.
Well,
You
I don't know.
understand how
I would say
logically
it's just
tracks?
that they use
I understand how that
that
logically
saying
tracks.
for.
I don't understand how that logically is
It's for
consistent with
anything.
things that you yourself have said earlier. Because you earlier were making the claim that, you know, even if it's not
They just don't
stigma
want
that's
to
causing the
be told
problems,
what
it's
to
still
do
other cultural things.
or have
So
to
even
behave.
if we're going to say, you know, we're going to, you know, this is a purely semantic distinction, whether you want to call it stigma or not. But if you want to say, okay, sure, it's not stigma, it's some other cultural factor that's also contributing to the rate of promiscuity among homosexualities, or among homosexuals, we can still address that while also addressing
You know, I realized almost nothing has been said in this conversation
the stigma,
because it is all just reframing.
such that when we address the stigma and more people become homosexual, it doesn't lead to things like increased STDs because we've addressed the other cultural norms as well.
The only problem you have with that is that even if you produce the mitigation that you're talking about, okay, it's not what you have with current data is that the mitigations with egalitarianism is not enough to even come close to solving this issue, because it seems to be choice.
Yeah, because we already have it at like 70% acceptance or
based,
something, right?
Meaning it seems to be choice based.
What do you do
to
from
have
now?
this many sexual partners.
See, that's it. Choice based. What it really boils down to is if you can ask this person, hey, when do they become responsible for their own lives? Again, they would say never.
Be choice based within this community to do.
When do the people you're talking about become responsible for their own lives? When is it their own choice? Never.
These activities that are
Never.
extremely high risk. So the damage that happens to
That's
homosexuals
it, man.
from their own
That's
behavior
it. It's all about they don't accept choice. Communists don't accept choice.
A lot more suffering to the
Communists don't accept the agent being you. They just don't accept it. They just don't even think about it.
homosexuals than any of the stigma or mitigating factor that you could point to that we need to take care of to reduce the suffering down to the point where it would make sense to just
Because like when they talk about education, they mean programming, right? They mean programming.
not be a homosexual instead, or
Okay.
engage in the homosexual.
So the guy here has
activity of sodomy.
been, you said, no, I said,
Where all
yeah,
of
that's been most of it.
the high risk factors come into play. Is simply from homosexual sodomy.
Okay, so a couple of things. So for one, you said that we've seen empirically that because we've become more egalitarian and the, you know, outcomes we've seen with
Ma'am, you should get like something to hold your hair back.
regards to homosexuality hasn't
Like a
been,
ribbon? Like a ribbon?
hasn't been wholly reduced, that therefore that's
Like a ribbon?
evidence that like completely eliminating stigma like wouldn't like reduce the
See? You see what I'm saying? Get the ribbon.
No,
or
that's
wouldn't
not
solve
what
the
I
problems
said.
of
That's not what I
homosexuality.
said at
Okay,
all.
so what was your argument?
I said if you mitigate it down, and it's still
Get a hair tie.
more dangerous to engage in the activity. Okay, even after you have a completely egalitarian society.
But we don't have a completely
Okay, but
egalitarian
even right
society.
now-
What are you talking about?
Right
You're
now,
It's pretty close. How much
making, like,
closer could you
empirical
get?
appeals.
you want me
Like
to
you keep
we
you
can
keep
look
ma-
right now at the 70% and say that as we've had more egalitarianism
If it's over 70%, how much more could it go?
with homosexuals, these rates have not significantly reduced. Do you understand? It's that simple.
Yeah, what do you have to say against that?
So if we have 100% egalitarianism, why would we expect that they would mitigate down to the point that the activity itself still wasn't more dangerous than not promoting the activity? It's very
Sure.
simple. And
Okay, sure.
you keep reframing every time you discuss that, you reframe it.
Okay, you're right now what you're doing is framing. Like I hope you understand that.
Well,
But
that's
anyways, what
my
you're saying is
it's my
are you
argument's
okay?
supposed to be
All right.
framed.
Okay.
You arguing against it is not supposed to be to reframe it. That's
Okay, we good?
how that works.
Okay. So anyways, so
Anyways.
you're saying that because we have reduced stigma and you're saying it hasn't reduced certain problems.
It hasn't, because we can look over time and see approval go up, right? Which implies that stigma has gone down, right? And those problems like suicide rates and all the STDs and AIDS and all these other rates have not drastically fallen down in inverted from the approval going up. That implies that the connection is not as big as you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys say about that?
that like
It hasn't
therefore
used any of them.
well okay,
Not to any
you keep saying that,
What do you got? What do you got against that?
but like I've already
I made it parking lot. Nice.
explained to you that when kids aren't
Nice,
rejected by
nice,
their parents,
nice.
they're less likely to commit suicide. They're less likely to have unprotected sex. When places have legalized gay marriage, suicide rates have dropped in those specific states. So like
Not
you just keep
significantly.
saying things that are just wrong. Yes,
Not
significantly.
significantly.
Do you want me? I can
Not
send you this study. It is statistically
It's
significant.
not significant enough.
Statistically significant doesn't mean it's significant. Just and like that's a pretty small number. That doesn't
that the
mean
rates-
what actually how significant is it actually? Statistically significant. Come on, give me how significant is it?
Still wouldn't be higher than the general population if you reached 100%
okay,
following the 70% trend.
that doesn't follow. Okay,
Yes,
so
it
you're
follows.
saying, okay, so what you're saying is that if we reduce okay, so if I'm saying that stigma causes, certain problems or is largely responsible for certain problems, and you're
Yes, and if we can see the scale of stigma going down and the problems not going down along with it, then what's going on? Then how can we say it's stigma?
saying that if we
Pretty
reduce the
simple.
stigma and the problems still exist
Yes.
more than they do for the general population,
Uh-huh.
then therefore reducing the stigma isn't a viable solution.
Yep.
But that doesn't follow
Huh?
because you can say
What?
that we've reduced stigma, but the stigma, even at the reduced level, is still higher for homosexuals than it is for the general population.
That doesn't mean anything though. If it's still high, yeah, but the point is that the acceptance has gone up, right? And so the stigma has gone down drastically. If it's up at like 70% now, that means it's gone up. Approval has gone up drastically. So should all of the things associated with the stigma should have gone down. Yeah, of course it should have. Saying that it's because it's still higher than the general population acceptance level. There's no such thing as acceptance level of regular people. What are you talking about? How do you compare those two things? You can't even compare those two things. There's no acceptance level for just being normal. What are you talking about? What? There's no other control group to compare to.
There's still a lot of fucking discrimination against gay people in the United States.
There's more discrimination against people that have an issue with gay people than there is discrimination against gay people in the United States. I can stand by that. I can say that pretty solidly. There's more discrimination against people that don't like gay people in the United States than gay people now. So what are you talking about, man? We all know it too. Statistical significance is a measuring of randomness between the measured population. Sure. Well, why don't you change to what the study is saying? No, it's saying this. Sure. You know what else is statistically significant? Is it something left in the toilet?
There's still a lot of gay people in the United States who are rejected by their parents. There isn't any straight people who are rejected by their parents for being straight.
There are people that are rejected by their parents, though, not for being straight. Couldn't you compare to another group of people that were rejected by their parents? Like a lot of people were rejected by their parents.
Address the crux of the argument. So one more time.
You keep changing what the crux of the argument
A lot
is.
of straight people are rejected by their parents, though.
Depending
That
on
still
which one
happens.
I've just addressed, but go for it.
Mitigate the risky behavior to the point of egalitarianism that you want, which if you're on track right now at 69%, 70%, 75%, right? It's way over 50%.
Yeah, that's the point. It's way over 50%, and we can't see the signs of what you're saying declining.
Has done very little to
It
mitigate
should.
these issues.
It should be proportionate amount that would track, like, there should be a proportionate amount of reduction over time as the approval went up. And there's not.
Within the community.
So you can't even make the argument then without a real proof.
Eliminate suffering, then telling people, hey, if we mitigate these things, you'll suffer less, is less good than telling them not to engage in the activity, because then you won't suffer at all. The suffering that seems to happen within this community, even with all of those factors mitigated down, let's say, to zero, if it tracks, then
it still is suffering, which obviously there will be because it hasn't gone down.
Is still damaging more than being a heterosexual is, then you should be promoting not to engage in the activity at all.
Sure. So a few things. So for one, you say that acceptance is like way over 50%. I feel like
I feel like, guys, you know what I feel like?
I feel like these numbers aren't doing
I
exactly
can't, I feel like.
what you want.
Yes, I see. So I just have different feelings. I just have different feelings. I don't feel like your numbers are what you want them to be. I don't feel them. I don't feel your numbers. Sorry. I'm dismissing your numbers not because they're not good or not numbers. I just don't feel them. I don't feel like they're good. I don't like them. I don't feel
them to. So like you can say like, hey, this many people support gay marriage, for example, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be okay.
them. They're gay people who don't want straight kids. You think so? I know that's a thing in like for real in like disabled. I remember watching a Law and Order episode about it. About like a deaf there's like a deaf family and they could do like some surgery to fix the baby when they didn't want to or something.
If like their own child comes out as gay, someone might tell a pollster, I support, gay marriage.
You can say it on racist.
Then, if their child comes out as gay or something, they might still have a problem with it or like, do something that negatively like harms the child's mental health. Additionally, you said that, we've seen like increased rates of acceptance and it hasn't reduced the issues. Like I've already explained to you that it has. Like,
listen, I've already explained to you. I don't feel like that is true.
What I said,
has reduced.
I've already explained it to you. I feel differently.
It has reduced STDs
enough that reducing the activity wouldn't be better to reduce the suffering.
Because we haven't gotten rid of all the stigma.
Okay, but even if we're
that's how the commies always think. It has to be zero. It has to be complete elimination. It has to be total everything, or it doesn't count. That's why you can know their tool set is really just designed to rebel no matter what.
Haven't addressed.
And they'll never be happy with anything.
Egalitarian,
they'll never be happy with anything.
100% based on the trajectory we're on.
They'll just deny. They'll deny all the facts that what they're saying is totally not true. And they'll just keep going until they'll just keep saying the plan's gonna work. Plan's gonna work, bro. The plan's gonna work. That's what happens, man. When idealism meets reality, you have to force it, right? I have one of these pictures somewhere. When idealism meets reality, I gotta have these like saved and open. Just pull them up. This one. The inevitability of force. When idealism meets reality. And when reality refuses to bend to magic words, the idealist does not question the theory. They punish the dissent. You cannot legislate the outcomes. You must force the compliance. It boils down to that, right?
Right now, it will not reduce.
They never get it. And then eventually, it means they're going to use force on other people to force you. That's the real fucked up thing. Is eventually, see, like even the idea of like lowering the stigma, they think that's okay. They don't realize they have to force that on the populace, right? They have to at some point maybe a gunpoint, say, hey, you better accept gay people. If that's their rule, is we keep pushing it. What is the next choice? Eventually, they have to use force. How about you stop trying to control society? Period.
Than not engaging in the behavior will to alleviate the suffering.
Just leave society alone.
Simple.
We don't know that. Like,
just leave society alone, you freak.
I don't know. I don't even know why you would assume that premise. Like,
because what we can look at is we can look at the acceptance rate.
Yeah, the Harris is wild. He should just give up. She should just give up. Yeah.
If your acceptance rate is at 70%, okay,
she should just give up on the Harris
the
thing.
reduction rate is at X, which is very low. Then you can kind of project out to what it'll look like at 100.
Right, you can see that there should be some kind of ratio, some kind of proportional effect change,
and you can actually follow the trend on a line graph.
Not my society.
It's very simple. So if you reach 100%, you can.
And remember, kids, when the commies take over the street, the free farm is only for black people, right? Right.
You can pretty much project going forward that when you reach 100%. The risk factors,
the trans inclusionary only black and trans farm
are still going to be extremely high. It's not going to be mitigated enough by simply eliminating the stigma, or likely even these other factors, which we don't know what they are, I guess, either.
Sure. So, Okay, so the problem is like you're
The
running this
problem.
like calculation.
The problem is you should stop. The ma'am here doesn't realize they're totalitarian. They want society to do a thing, right? They need a reason. They need a good reason
where you're
if we're
trying
going to do
like
it.
map on like how much egalitarianism we have, you know, how much there's been a reduction.
Yeah, with your numbers. You're trying to map on with your numbers. But I don't feel like those numbers are good. I don't like them. They make me feel bad.
And try to see, okay, well, if there was a complete reduction, how much would that look?
I think it's silly to think that you could project anything ever that disagrees with anything I think.
Like reduce the problem.
So I think it's a bad idea to try to project numbers that disagree with what I think about things and how I feel, because that makes me feel bad and I don't like it.
Problem.
Want to reduce stigma. That's
Because the data that you're working with is not indicative of what you want it to be indicative of.
Because the data that you're working with is not indicative of the data that you want it to be working with. What? The data that you're working with is not indicative of what you want it to be indicative of.
So, like, for example, there are a variety of intersecting different problems in different areas of
Confounding variables, right, is what he's talking about.
Society that create the problems that stigma generally feeds into. So, like, for example,
you can't prove any of these things. You're just making shit up. You might as well be making shit up, bro, ma'am. You might as well just make shit up.
One issue is a lack of LGBT.
You don't know none of this. You're just making it up.
People having access to healthcare.
Making up.
One example is a lack of LGBT.
Making up. Marriage.
People having access to like sex education or having
sex education is not good at all.
Access to condoms or having access.
Again, I don't know why they're blocking off condoms from the gay people. I've never seen that. I think you're full of shit on that.
Access to lubricants. Some of it is just being rejected by their families, and so you can look at certain data points like, oh, we've gotten to this much egalitarian.
We need Vulcan debaters. Agreed. Comprehending society is hallucinating. Exactly. Yeah, numb. Heck yeah. Yeah, it is. And by free farm, you mean the produce you stole from rural white farmers because food doesn't. Well, yeah. Access to lubricant. That's what I'm talking about. What is she talking about? Like, and access to content, like, what are you talking about? They give them away for free. You're telling me they're going to say no? And the sex ed thing, too. She's saying that because they don't actually talk about one form of sex, that they get STDs. That doesn't make sense.
And that this is the amount of people who,
like, you need to talk about gay sex specifically in order for them to not get STDs. That's retarded. I'm sorry. That's the argument.
Tell a pollster that they're fine with like gay people or they're fine with gay people getting married, but that doesn't necessarily map onto conditions about how many gay people have access to things like education.
Again, education, condoms. You say the same things over and over again. Your argument doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that they're getting AIDS because they didn't get sex ed that said, okay, gay sex works like this. What are you talking about?
Or how many gay people are being rejected by their parents, or how much gay people have access to healthcare. Like,
and also the rejected by parents thing could correlate, right? It's also possible, like, the people that are rejected by the parents are also the same ones that are liable to rebel against their parents and go out and have, like, unprotected sex in the first place, right? Like, straight or not.
There's so many
like that. There's obviously correlative. Like traits there, behavioral traits there.
Different complicated factors playing into this that just using polls.
New trans condoms. Yep. Current condoms are covered in. Yeah, true. It's
on like general acceptance or general like acceptance of things like gay marriage does not tell you how much the actual problems that cause the externality.
You see, there's always a magical fuzzy number that we can pretend exists. Don't you see?
I'm repealing to have been done away
because with. I always blame society for any problem and I just make up a reason. That's how sociology works. You're not getting this? This is how sociology works. I see a problem and I use God of the gaps and I just make up the solution being the problem being society every time. Every time it's society. Every time it's society's fault. Every time. That's all the answers we have is fix society.
With.
Okay, so then by that same exact metric, you can't say that doing away with those metrics is going to solve the problem either. Because
Well, we can, because we can look at, like, for example, we can look at studies where gay people have been given interventions. Like, there was one.
Quick, condom and lube now. We got another gay kid here. Quick, intervention. Quick, we need intervention. Quick, get the lubes. What are you talking about?
Study that gave people like a one-time class on like how to engage in like more safe sex activities. We can look at interventions that have happened where, you know, people are given access.
How dare you?
To things like sex education, where gay people are given access to things like
5 minutes left before Q&A. Gonna get exciting.
gay marriage, and we have
Oh,
seen
Q&A is not very long though. Look at that. It's the end. I don't know if we're even going to see the Q&A.
that on these specific metrics,
So
when
we've
gay
seen more
marriage was
egalitarian,
legalized, suicide goes down.
Yeah, so
When
more
people,
So your
when
argument
people
is that
are given
more
access to
egalitarian.
sex education,
2 minutes.
they're less likely to get STDs.
Right.
Yeah.
So the more
sure.
equalized we get, then the more those problems are solved. So once
But, okay,
again,
but your
But
understanding
once again, in reality, it's not showing that.
of equalized is very simplistic. That's the problem.
No, it's not simplistic. That's insane. You're actually very stupid. And everything you think is stupid. And actually, your problem is you're too dumb. Like, that's what you're saying, man. You're just too much of a midwit jerk to just say it, like, cleanly.
it doesn't need
Because
to be
you're just
complex.
using, well, it does, because
It
you're
does
just
not.
using this metric of acceptance.
Oh, yeah. You mean a metric that makes sense, yes.
Where it's like how many people in a poll said they were like pro-gay people,
Mhm.
when
it's
the
many.
actual issues that feed into
Also,
this
there's multiple different ways that
are
they've
much
looked
more
at it.
multifaceted and complex.
It's
You
not
need
just
to
polls.
you
Yeah,
need
it's not
to
just
analyze
polls.
the specific problems. You need to
This
analyze
dishonest framing of the poll
specifically
thing.
the
It's
state of
actually just a poll.
LGBT access to healthcare. You have to access.
And we know that acceptance has gone up. It's gone up as much as it's going to go. It's only going to go down from here.
Or look at specifically.
But all you can do from here is force people to, like, buy a gun to accept it more. Like, what do you, like, put the gun in their mouth or something? You know, like, there's no more than where we are here. You've already pushed it, and people are sick of it, honestly.
Being rejected by their parents. You can't just look at this overly simplistic idea of like polls on general acceptance in order
People
to
are
get an
actually sick of hearing about it.
accurate picture of this. And when you look specifically at the things I'm talking to, you do see that giving gay people access to healthcare, allowing gay people to get married, less family rejection
Such
does lead to the
baloney.
reductions and the
They're
outcomes.
smart. You're the dumb.
that
Exactly.
I'm trying to
That's
reduce.
how they
They
think.
lead to some of those reductions with egalitarianism, but they don't lead to enough
Yeah.
reductions. They don't.
Can you
lead-
tell me how much of the you're not even familiar? How could you make that claim? You're not even familiar with the studies that I'm referencing. You don't know how much
I
these
don't need
reductions
to.
have
All I
been.
need to do
Yes, you
is
do.
So you
Well, because he's looking at the more general
It's
numbers.
exactly
You,
why.
you don't know.
doesn't
how
need to
much
know
the
all those
reduction has
studies.
been.
My turn. I'll tell
Well,
you.
really quick before you do that, after you guys are done with this argument, we're going to start to wind it down and do closing statements. So finish what you guys are at now, and then we'll go to the Q&A.
All I need to do is look at what the rates of suicide is, the rates of STDs, the rates of sexual
I establish a couple of the worst ones and say, look, they're not going
partners,
down.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That's all you gotta
for
do, yes.
Degenerate behavior, and look at how much it's been mitigated as we've become more egalitarian, and it gives you
You don't have to look at individual studies, just those
fairly
data
clear
points.
picture of where we're heading. I don't need
Over
every study
time.
under the sun to use those metrics. You just continuously say, I reject those metrics because it's just way too complex and you just don't understand it. I think it's actually quite simple. And
Yeah.
I don't think you've made a compelling case at all.
Well, they just assume it is a thing to remember. They just assume it. Again, they assume nobody has any responsibility, nobody has choice, nobody can choose anything, nobody can do anything on their own.
all for egalitarianism or trying our hardest to be accepting of homosexuals is going to solve any of these issues that you have in your community, or even necessarily mitigate them. And those things transfer over to heterosexual community, especially AIDS. That's a big one that transfers over from bisexuals engaging in homosexual sex primarily. So these are big problems that do affect me, that that deserve to be looked at from heterosexuals also, as to whether or not we want to continue to accept this kind of behavior. Because if we do, these are the types of results we're going to end up with.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to generally restate my problem. It's not, or my problem with what you're saying. It's not surprising to me at all that you don't think I've made a compelling case, because it seems that you haven't even comprehended the case that I've been making. So generally speaking, my point
So deluded,
is that
man.
you are saying that we've seen society become more egalitarian, and
So
we haven't seen
deluded.
sufficient reductions to say that if we went all the way, the reduction would be gone
correct.
completely. However, what I'm saying is that your calculation is based on metrics for egalitarianism, which are overly simplistic.
Even if we don't, we all know that acceptance has gone up significantly. You're going to deny that?
Because you're just looking at like generalized polls, like how many people say they accept a certain.
No, we're not even looking at that. Just being alive over the past couple of decades. You're too young, maybe. Just being alive over the past couple of decades, we know this is what's happened. Right? We've all seen it everywhere.
When if you really want to look at the things that actually feed into the problems,
it's clearly acceptance has clearly gone up a lot.
I'm talking about.
I don't know how you can even deny that.
Specific discriminations in specific institutions and specific factors like family rejection, like lack of access to certain things like condoms and lubricants. And when you do that more nuanced, specific analysis of these specific problems and how much they've led to a specific reductions, you do find that there are substantial reductions. And since you're not even familiar with that data,
but if those specific reductions are not enough to be visible in the more general numbers, then they're not actually enough. I'm sorry.
Haven't even bothered to engage in the more nuanced understanding of how these things work. You cannot say that you can be confident.
Communist Rice Krispies suck.
In the fact that these reductions have been too small, because you don't even know what these reductions are, because you haven't.
He's not. No, he knows what the more general trend is, right? Looking at those specific numbers for those specific cases, don't make a case that, in fact, they imply that those specific cases are not enough of the general population to make a dent, right? Because, like you were saying, the rejection by parents and things. If that is a reduction there, if there is a reduction there, and it's not showing the general larger trend, that means the people rejected by the parents like that are such a small number that it doesn't really impact the bigger number very much, which means it doesn't really matter.
I haven't even read any of the studies. So yeah, that's why
it's not even really worth dealing with. Then
what I'll say is this: it's very simple. He reframed it one more time. He said that what I'm looking for is metrics of reduction.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm looking at here. What I'm looking at is, can we reduce this down to a point?
Are we?
Can we reduce
isn't it reducing at all?
The behavior itself doesn't cause.
The behavior doesn't seem more likely to cause
this type of issue with overwhelming HIV, with overwhelming STDs, with this type of thing. And should we as a society begin to
those are reserved for the proletariat, sure.
Same-sex
you just get bags of rice
outcomes, knowing that the more egalitarian we become, it doesn't seem to be mitigating.
You can maybe throw it on, you can burn it a little bit.
The effects
crispy.
Of of STDs. It doesn't seem to be mitigating the effects.
You still use some burnt rice. Here's a crispy treat
of any of these issues. So that's what my
enjoy crispy treat
is, that if we can't mitigate it down to the point where not engaging in the behavior is better than engaging in the behavior because the behavior is high risk, then we should be promoting not to engage in a high risk behavior.
Okay, so I guess for my closing statement, oh, sorry, were you?
I thought you made your closing statement.
Oh, okay, sure. No, I'll do it right now. So for my closing statement,
and I did.
Just say, I'll finish off with a concrete example, because it seems like, again, like you have.
Did he not say that he was doing? Hold on. Did he say he wasn't doing his closing statement here?
Look for
questions. You can be specific factors. You have to look at if you your metrics. However, to say that so generally speaking, because it seems that you haven't even comprehended the. It's not so. I'm just going to generally restate my problem. It's
results we're going to end up with.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to generally restate my problem. It's not
as his closing statement.
What you're saying, it's not surprising to me at all that you don't think I've made a compelling
yeah, this is basically his closing statement, right?
The case that I've been making. So generally speaking, my points.
Wow, that's wild. He really did.
This down.
And then he's like, okay, well, I'll make another closing statement.
For my closing,
I thought you made.
Say, I'll finish off with a concrete example
Wild.
because it seems like again, like you're just not understanding the point that I'm making. So let's do like a concrete.
Everyone's
example. So,
dumb.
one
That's
of the
why.
big reasons why
You can't explain it to them because it's not good. It's not logical. It's not rational. You don't make sense. To believe what you believe, we have to believe in the same worldview where people can't choose things. Because that's the difference. The reason he's not quote unquote understanding is because Andrew believes in a world where people have choice and agency. You don't. That's the difference. And you're not getting that. You're not understanding what the difference between the two of you is. That's what it is. Now, that's a fundamentally different worldview. And it's not understandable. If you can't understand his, you think he's not understanding you. He's understanding you, he disagrees. The reason you can't understand him is because you can't put yourself beyond your worldview or behind or back up out of it. You're too entrenched in it to see outside of it. And that's why you see him as misunderstanding you. But he's not. You just can't see that what the disconnect between you two really is. You don't understand why the disconnect is happening.
Why gay
That's the
people
truth.
have higher STD rates is, like I said, a lack of access to things like healthcare.
Again, you didn't prove that. That's ridiculous.
And so we can say that society has.
It's always bullshit like that, right? It's always like, oh, lack of access to this, lack of whatever, and then you think about it, you're like, that doesn't make sense.
Generally become more accepting of LGBT people.
But you're just supposed to accept it, even though it doesn't track to reality. It doesn't track to what you've seen. It doesn't sound real. They just expect you to accept it because they're just reasoning how to make non-reality real. They're doing alchemy in front of your face.
And yet they still have like more STDs. But the reason for that could be because the healthcare industry doesn't say, hey, people have become more accepting of homosexuals, so therefore we are going to alter the services that we provide. Like, if you look at the healthcare industry in specific,
they do alter it though.
It operates on a basis of profit, not like
That's
socially. Wait, hold on, wait.
So what's the problem with that? If there's gay people that exist, then they'll want their money. So problem what?
So like the actual problems or the actual things that are causing the problems I'm appealing to.
The condo? How is it gay people can't get condos? What is even that?
Don't necessarily just map on to your like overly simplistic metric of how egalitarian we are.
It's not just simplistic, it's overall numbers, and it shows something, and you can't make a case against it, so you're just
measured by like the polls that
being
you're
ridiculous.
To.
You're cherry picking. You're cherry picking, and you don't like that the general trends don't match the cherry picking.
Yeah, so like you're trying to make the claim that the reductions we've seen based on us.
No, he's saying there's not enough reduction it doesn't seem to be enough reduction from trying to say that we need to reduce stigma compared to just not doing it. That's it. He said it like a million times now, and you are reframing it again. You are reframing it again. You are reframing it again.
Becoming more egalitarian don't give us confidence that we could reduce it all.
You are reframing it again.
The way, but the problem is
that's not. Yeah, it's not what he said. He said it to you a million times now. He said, why should we focus on reducing the stigma instead of focusing on saying against the behavior, and instead promoting other behavior instead? Use that same like effort, because unless you can show that it doesn't seem to be the behavior, which you're not showing, then why would we keep going to destigmatize it when it hasn't shown, when it would be better to just say don't do it? That's what he's asking, right? How have you not? You reframed it still. You can't understand his point, and yet you keep saying he can't understand you. That's ridiculous. They're always like this, too. They do it to me, too.
You are working off a simplistic understanding.
You didn't get what he said. You reframed it again.
Of what egalitarianism means. When if you
you reframed everything he said.
A more nuanced approach and look at like the specific institutions and things that I'm talking about, God. You do see massive reductions. That doesn't help your point that
gay people can't get out. That's what I was thinking too. Like I think like a dystopian cyberpunk future that scans you with a laser, and every time you try to go CVS, gay, and then like it just ejects you out. No gays. The circle thing pops out, a big red circle. Like no. Get out of here. What are you talking about?
You could never reduce these things completely. You just don't have the data to make the claim that you're trying to make. But
The problem is you don't have the data to make the claim you're trying to make, and you're just assuming it based on nothing. You're assuming that the thing is caused by stigma. You never proved that. Lame. Lame. Lame.
All right. We got a lot of
Now, what I don't get about these debates and things, though, is it always boils down to the comedy just like lying and ignoring and acting like it's not true.
Debate, by the way, guys.
Right? Great debate. One guy just lied the whole time. All right, thanks for hanging out, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna work on Goblin Gang a little bit. I'll be back tonight. What is tonight? Oh, I gotta make the NFT too. I gotta get the NFT ready too for tonight. Right? I was on time tonight. Believe that. On time tonight. Yeah, I gotta get the NFT ready for tonight too. The NFT thing. I don't know. Have a good day, guys. Later. Oh, Parn, make sure you follow the new YouTube also. There's another YouTube. There's a new YouTube. Make sure if you just go to the regular channel, and it's on the top. It's Crying Reads Live, but it's linked in the thing. I linked it on. Alright, guys. Have a good day. Let's see. Anything to do with communists? I can play. Or whatever the heck that was that we just... there's gotta be something.
This is the hypnotist reframe. If you're not a hypnotist, you probably go through life thinking that people are rational, and 90% of the time. 90% of the time they're just rational, but 10% of the time they get crazy. Everybody, me, you, everybody. The hypnotist reframe is that people are only rational 10% of the time. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. Once you realize that people are irrational pretty much all the time, and that they rationalize what they did, they don't think it through. They explain it later. And sometimes that sounds dumb to other people. This is like one of the reframes that doesn't seem like a big deal. But let me tell you, once you realize that nobody's ever, 90% of the time, once you realize that they're irrational 90% of the time, then that tells you how to deal with situations. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. If you thought people were rational 90% of the time, you would try to change their minds with reason and data. Have you ever tried that? It doesn't work at all, does it? Your reason and your data? It's because you're assuming that you're talking to a rational player. You're not. Almost never.
It's not something that happens to me.
So instead you use persuasion. You make them feel a certain way, and if you can make them feel a certain way, then they will rationalize decisions that make them feel better. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. People are only rational 10% of the time. If that. If that. So remember, 90% irrational, and then you'll understand life.